At the end of the Ice Age, I accumulated tens of billions of supplies. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 751 Siege of Canute. Liu Yinghao, who can control hormones in his body, can turn his body fluids into deadly toxins. So Canute's choice to devour him was undoubtedly a huge decision-making mistake. However, judging from his huge size, it is obviously not that easy to kill him with poison. Wu Di's eyes lit up, and he found a way to deal with Canute. At least it can prevent everyone from being eaten by him. Liu Yinghao, use your poison to put some on each of us. Liu Yinghao shouted. Understood. He quickly ran to Wu Di, bit his wrist open, and poured his blood on him. The blood becomes a deadly poison after his transformation. Others also went through this process one by one. But Canute scoffed at this. If you can't swallow it, just use your size advantage to crush it. Let me help you. Eclipse member Yoshimitsu Sakuraba held his right wrist with his left hand and aimed at the battlefield space where everyone was. Gravity release. As soon as his ability was activated, everyone suddenly felt that their bodies were many times heavier. Some non-Malay type aliens even find it difficult to pull out. Surprisingly, however, they were not the worst offenders. Boom. A muffled sound came from the center of the battlefield, and Canute's body, transformed into a giant blue shark, suddenly sank into the depths of the earth. Damn, what are you doing? He growled. When Wu Di saw this scene, he suddenly raised his head and laughed. Such a powerful increase in gravity is an indiscriminate attack. For such a behemoth, it is simply a disaster. Dagon Yangjin can adapt to the strong gravity through constant exercise. But Canute couldn't do it because his size and weight at this time were far beyond the scope of humans. Such a huge gravity put great pressure on his internal organs. It was only then that Sakuraba Yoshimitsu realized that the Canute in front of him could not be compared with Daigo Inobu. Sorry, Before he could finish his words, Canute had already rushed over from the depths of the earth and then bit him in half at the waist. Sakuraba Yoshimitsu's face was full of astonishment. He did not expect that he would not die in the hands of the Tengu team, but in the mouth of his temporary ally. This is the nature of pirates. As long as their interests are touched, they can kill even their close relatives. As for Sakuraba Yoshimitsu's death, the people of Eclipse ignored it. They can't fall out with the Cheyenne Lang pirates just yet. What's more, in the team, Sakuraba Yoshimitsu is just a small character ranked at the bottom. They started fighting among themselves. He said coldly. Zumaro said, allies who are together because of their interests will also draw their swords against each other because of their interests. It is not surprising to these two groups of villains. As soon as Sakuraba Yoshimitsu died, the gravity field at the scene returned to normal. Canute swallowed the body of Sakuraba Yoshimitsu, and the horrific wounds left by Zhang Yi on his body began to show signs of healing at this time. Wu Di's eyes narrowed. This guy can heal himself by swallowing aliens. Biologist Meng Xiai is at the rear of the battlefield. As an auxiliary staff, she cannot directly participate in the battle. But at this time, a professional analysis was given. The shark itself has extremely powerful self-healing capabilities. Be careful, don't feed him anymore. However, even so, it was difficult for them to figure out a way to kill this super prehistoric monster that could sneak into the terrain. On the battlefield, Canute had absolute initiative. He was like the tip of a spear, rushing across the battlefield. The pirates behind him relied on him to attack the Tengu team. Kurosawa's troops also took out hand cannons and suppressed the Tengu team from a distance. Qi Guangming, I leave the sniper on the other side to you. Wu Di shouted. Roger that. Qi Guangming raised his weird black sniper rifle and aimed at Kurosawa Akira's troops in the distance. Kurosawa Akira immediately found a bunker to cover his body. The two snipers restrained each other, and neither of them dared to show their heads easily, because the life and death battle between snipers lasts only a moment. But the frontal battlefield had already been disrupted by Canute. Let me try to deal with him. Explosives expert Yijikan was hiding in the dark, his right hand pressed on the ground. His ability, Time Bomb, can turn everything he touches into a powerful bomb. Since Canute is hidden underground, it is difficult for others to hit him, so he began placing large amounts of explosives beneath the ground. The person who can truly compete with Canute on the frontal battlefield is an existence that no one expected. Kang Sheng. His ability is Forged Steel, which can turn his body into the toughest metal. Therefore, he has superhuman defense capabilities, and as an enhanced alien, he is also extremely powerful. The characteristics of these abilities make him the main force in delaying Canute head-on on the battlefield. The huge blue shark body emerged from the ground and attacked Woody fiercely. Kang Sheng, on the other hand, immediately stood in front of Woody. His arms were tightly guarded in front of him, and he blocked Canute's attack forcefully. As a fighting master, he knows how to make his body withstand the smallest impact. Boom. He resisted Canute's impact with difficulty, but was still thrown away after a moment. But his body, which had turned into flexible metal, digested this power quickly like liquid, so that he did not suffer much damage. The shadow falls on the thorns. Floating cannon. This momentary opportunity was captured by the Tengu team. The shadow at Yi's feet quickly extended out and merged with Canute's huge shadow. Then from the shadow of the earth, hundreds of sharp black thorns suddenly shot out and pierced his body. At the same time, Woody condensed a huge floating cannon in his hand, turning into a huge beam of light and shooting at Canute's body. The two of them were very particular about where they chose to attack. It was the location where Zhang Yi had left a wound. Laugh. Canute's body shook, and a layer of green smoke appeared. Yi and Woody's joint attack also caused him some injuries. Woo. Canute let out a loud whine. Yang Xingxin, who was in the distance, also asked the angel behind him to aim at Canute and shoot a second arrow. But this arrow is black. Canute has always paid attention to everyone's movements on the battlefield. The girl just shot him with an arrow, causing about 0 damage. But this black arrow gave him an unknown omen. He decided not to resist with his body, but quickly dived underground. The black arrow missed. Yang Xingxin's expression was calm, without any loss. Chapter 752. Kito-san and Shan-che. Woody and Yi jointly attacked, causing some damage to Canute, but it was not enough to decide the victory. This made the two of them feel even more stressed. If Canute hadn't been seriously injured by Zhang Yi, could they really have won with just them? He is worthy of being the captain of the pirate regiment that roams the sea, and he should not be underestimated. But when they attacked Canute, the other members of the pirate group were not idle either. The minions' only attack methods are firearms and ordinary shoulder-mounted cannons. These things can't even break through the defense of the combat uniform. They can only cause certain interference. However, the aliens of the Cheyenne Lang pirates also charged towards the Tengu team without fear of death. Among them, the main ones are large-scale Kita-san and Shan-che. Shan-che's abilities are similar to Canute's, but the electric eel he incarnates is only 7 or 8 meters long. The oily and delicate skin does not look like a melee master, but the electric arc sprayed from his mouth can penetrate hundreds of meters of space. Chain hand Quitossan's arms turn into 2 huge iron chains, which can be used both offensively and defensively. The length of the chain can even reach 500 meters long. At the end is a huge iron thorn. As he swings it, it dances in the air like 2 giant snakes. A slight swing can cause huge damage. At the same time, this is also a very powerful defensive method. The bullets fired by the Tengu team were all bounced back by the chains. As the two joined the battlefield and formed a triangle formation with Canute, the Tengu team encountered increasing pressure from the front. Boom. Yijikan finally arranged his mine array. Using the earth as a medium, he distributed his supernatural bombs to every corner of the battlefield. Hundreds of bombs are enough to make the pirates drink apart. I will use bombs to destroy the terrain and force the shark and electric eel to appear. As soon as they come out, you attack immediately. Yijikan said to the team members. Roger that. Everyone also gave decisive answers. Yang Xingxin listened to the sound in the headphones in silence. From the beginning, these team members did not regard her as a combatant. More people believe that Yang Xingxin can join the Tengu team entirely because of Zhang Yi, and no one knows what her abilities are. From the beginning of the battle to now, all she has been responsible for is riding the big cat and running around. The only shot he took didn't put any pressure on Canute. When everyone was ready, Yi immediately detonated all the bombs he had arranged. In an instant, an astonishing explosion occurred deep in the earth within a radius of several kilometers. These explosions accurately avoided the direction of the Tengu team members, but blew up the ice surface, where Canute was hiding into large shards of ice. This explosion made Canute's wounds even more painful. He howled and his huge body was exposed. Fire! Woody roared, and everyone focused their firepower on Canute. Origin bomb, floating cannon, shadow killing technique. More than a dozen attacks hit Canute's location. Canute saw the scene in front of him, and a look of hatred flashed in his eyes. Unexpectedly, he, the captain of the 4th Division of the Tang Tang Cheyenne Lang Pirates, would be bullied by a group of minions here. If this was his home court, then everyone would be killed by him. Yes, his main battlefield is the ocean. There, even if the opponent has a super battleship, it will be ruthlessly overturned by him. Sure enough, after the shark comes to land, its combat effectiveness will be greatly reduced. At the critical moment, First Officer Quetta Sang stood in front of Canute. He waved his arms, and 2 huge iron chains twisted and danced like sea snakes. Crackling. Countless origin bombs were bounced away by the iron chains, and sparks flew everywhere. The electric eel transformed by Shan-che lay on Canute's body, shooting high voltage current from his mouth, blocking the floating cannon and shadow killing technique. The 2 strangers beside Canute are also top-notch players. Their presence made it much more difficult for the Tengu team to kill Canute. At this moment, Yang Xingxin, who had been watching everything coldly, took action again. The seraph behind her raised his bow and set an arrow. This time he took off Red Wing from behind and turned it into an arrow. Then he aimed at Quito-san, who was wielding an airtight iron chain to block countless attacks. Her red arrow didn't have anything special to Quito-san. Mixed in a large number of origin bullets and magical attacks, it was shot at Quito-san. But this time, Quito-san's iron chain did not block the arrow attack. The red arrow seemed to have no body, directly penetrated the blockade of more than a dozen iron chains, and then shot into his chest. By the time Quito-san realized something was wrong, it was already too late. He didn't know what happened, but he vaguely felt that something was wrong. Why didn't he block the arrow attack? He subconsciously looked at his chest. There were no injuries there, not even his old suit was torn. No harm. What on earth is this? Quito-san was in a daze for a moment, but this round of attack by the Tengu team was blocked by them. Kill them all. Canute growled. Shan-che lay on top of him, and a huge electric current suddenly covered Canute's whole body. This giant blue shark suddenly transformed into an electric shark. He plunged into the ground fiercely. If he wasn't wearing combat uniforms, everyone should be able to feel it. The soles of his feet began to become numb. Even through the thick layer of snow, the feeling of high voltage current is particularly obvious. A moment later, Canute rushed out of the ground with Shan-che. This time the target is still Woody. Because among these people, only Woody really hurt him. Huge electric current enveloped the blue shark's body surface, and just being close to it made the hairs on Woody's body stand up. Although the combat uniform is a product of precision technology, it cannot be completely insulated because it contains a variety of electronic devices and requires many functions. If Woody was electrocuted this time, it would kill him directly. At the critical moment, it was Kang Sheng who stepped forward again. He is the only Malay alien left in the team. Only he can block Canute's attack head on. But when Kang Sheng stood in front of Canute, a flash of amusement flashed in the eyes of the violent Canute. It's you I want to kill, bastard. As long as the Tin Man is killed, the remaining aliens can still be manipulated by him. Boom. Canute turned over in the air and jumped into the air like a whale leaping out of the sea. Then his head, carrying an electric current of volts, hit Kang Sheng hard. Chapter 753 Trapped Beast. Boom. Kang Sheng had no way to dodge, so he could only clasp his hands in front of him, trying to resist the impact. A huge crash sounded on the battlefield, and blue arcs of electricity intertwined into ferocious snakes in the air. The force of this impact was so great that it directly knocked Kang Sheng more than 10 meters deep into the earth. Kang Sheng. Woody was lucky enough to save his life, but when he looked at the pit, he found that Canute had disappeared. He lurked, waiting for Shanche's charge to end, and then launched a second attack. But Kang Sheng, the former honest man of the Black Robe team, had his body cut into 2 parts, and was as black as a piece of coal. In the end, he still couldn't withstand the combined attack of Kanat and Shanche. This is perhaps the biggest tragedy of tank aliens. They always need to stand at the front of the team and bear pressure that they should not bear. The members of the Tengu team felt a little sad. But now they don't have time to be sad. This is not the first time they have lost teammates in battle. If they were so sad that they couldn't control themselves every time, they would have died on the battlefield long ago. Now that Kang Sheng is dead, how can we solve the head-on problem? Yi gritted his teeth and said. Canyute's ability was too strong. Although he was seriously injured, his level was still far beyond this. In addition, there were 2 deputies beside him who were comparable to elite investigative teams, so the Tengu team was not given much chance at all. Woody also looked confused. Originally, there were 2 top enhancement type aliens in their team configuration. However, the Cheyenne Lang pirates teamed up with Eclipse and their combat power exceeded their expectations. Zhang Yi, Bailey Changqing and Liang Yu, the 3 major combat powers were all contained. What are they going to do? There is no other way but to fight to the death. But the worst thing had just begun. On the mountain where the eclipse moon appeared, Jinguji Ichiro was delayed by Zhang Yi for a long time and had to use himself to protect Takuchi Mayumi. But suddenly, a sly smile appeared on his lips. Finished. He murmured this. The next moment, he jumped up with his Shikigami and joined the battlefield below. Such a scene was clearly seen by Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi's eyes suddenly condensed. He actually gave up protecting the Mako? There are only 2 possibilities. One is that the witch has lost the value of her existence. The second is that the witch on the top of the mountain has been hidden. Zhang Yi raised his gun without hesitation and aimed it at the witch wearing a black cotton robe on the top of the mountain. But this time, Phoenix Academy Ren didn't show the slightest worry on his face. Instead, he released a large number of Karma Fire Crows at him with a mocking look on his face. The crows all over the sky rushed towards him in dense numbers, and they were able to swallow Zhang Yi completely in an instant. Zhang Yi still pulled the trigger in his hand. After Mayumi Takuchi was shot, a layer of white smoke appeared with a bang, and then a charm made of white paper slowly fell to the ground. Of course Jinguji Ichiro would not let Zhang Yi lead him by the nose. While Zhang Yi was fighting Phoenix Engine, he used the spell to make a dummy of Mayumi Takuchi. And the real Mayumi Takuchi may have been moved to a safe place by him. Where is it? Zhang Yi immediately used space shuttle to avoid the attack of the crows, while his eyes roamed the battlefield below. There were so many people, there were people everywhere, and the ground was covered with corpses. Mayumi Takuchi must be on the battlefield, otherwise her power would not be able to be applied to Phoenix Engine. It's just that Zhang Yi doesn't have the ability to see through everything, and now he can't quickly find where Mayumi Takuchi is hiding. And once this restriction is lost, Phoenix Engine and Jinguji Ichiro will end up. Once they enter the battlefield below, they will have a huge impact on the entire battle situation. Phoenix Yuanren knew that Zhang Yi could not be killed in a short time, so he chose to kill the Tengu members first. I'll kill your woman first. Let's see what you do. Phoenix Academy Ren smiled ferociously and jumped off the bluebird. His target was very clear. It was Yang Xingxin who was riding Huata. His head fell downwards, completely in freefall, like a cannonball. At this moment, Zhang Yi faced the biggest crisis since this battle. Even if he can protect Yang Xingxin, in this out of control situation, the entire Tengu team will die. But at this time, what is Zhang Yi doing? He was actually laughing. The corners of his mouth raised a wide arc, and he smiled brightly. Thank you for helping me with the multiple choice questions. Originally, he was still hesitating whether to use that plan. But now that I have no choice, it has become the best choice. Phoenix Yuanren's eyes were full of madness. He wanted to destroy Zhang Yi's faith with his own hands, and kill the important people around him. Watching a person despair and collapse is what Phoenix Yuanren likes the most. Huahu noticed Phoenix Yuanren falling from the sky. He came with thousands of Karma Fire Crows, like scorpions from heaven. The sky was filled with Karma Fire Crows emitting ominous wails. That kind of scene is like burning the entire land to the ground. Meow. Huahu let out a scream of fear, and her hair stood on end. This kind of scene cannot be avoided even at its speed. However, the next moment, a familiar breath appeared beside it. Never mind. Huahu's eyes suddenly became clear, and her face showed a look of relief. Because that's Zhang Yi's voice. Zhang Yi took one step forward, and used space to shuttle directly to Huahu and Yang Xingxin. Then in front of Phoenix Yu and Ren, he moved forward with one hand. The gate of the dimension. He hasn't used this ability for a long time. The gate of dimension, one side can pass through. Its disadvantages, that it has a fixed position, and can only defend against attacks from one side, which is not conducive to close combat. The advantages, that it covers a huge area and its defense power is at the top level. For example, this time, Zhang Yi's dimensional gate covered an area of 500 meters in radius. Phoenix and Ren fell too fast. He noticed something bad. But in the information that person gave him, there was no mention of this ability. He couldn't imagine that Zhang Yi would really let him, the undead, enter his own space world. Because once Zhang Yi did that, he would not be able to use the absolute defense of the two realms to reduce his own safety factor. But Zhang Yi did exactly that. Phoenix Academy Ren and Crocro were directly submerged into Zhang Yi's different dimensional space. He instantly closed the door to the dimensional space. Yang Xingxin looked at Zhang Yi excitedly. Brother Zhang Yi, you win. No, not yet. Zhang Yi looked at Seiichiro Jinguji on the battlefield, and then looked at several other battle lines. I just trapped him temporarily. Now, I have to race against time. Chapter 754. Open, kill. At the Combat Command Center, seeing Zhang Yi using space to seal Feng Huang Yu and Ren, a burst of cheers that had been silent for a long time immediately broke out. Yeah. Great. Phoenix Yu and Ren is trapped. Will he die in Zhang Yi's space? Not sure. But the records never show that Zhang Yi used different dimensions to kill anyone. ZHU Zheng frowned and stared at the battlefield in Xianhei City. The situation in the other two battlefields is very clear now. The Jidao Demon organization that Tu Yunli dealt with was not strong enough to pose a threat to them. The Samsara team is already on the plane heading to Xianhei City. Next, all you need to do is delay enough time for the Samsara team to join the battlefield. ZHU Zheng stared at the screen and murmured, Zhang Yi, you must hold on. Zhang Yi temporarily sealed Phoenix Yu and Ren at the expense of temporarily sacrificing his space ability. Phoenix Academy Ren cannot be killed, even in a different dimension. And with his ability of Karma Fire, sooner or later he will break through the seal of space. At that time, Zhang Yi will be completely unable to use the ability of different dimensions in a short period of time. But now, at least now, the only captain level alien on the entire battlefield is himself. Open, kill. It was very difficult for Zhang Yi to kill Phoenix Yu and Ren, but it was much easier for him to kill the next stranger. The first target he targeted was naturally the second in command of the Eclipse organization, Jinguji Seiichiro. At this time, Jinguji Seiichiro and his Shikigami were about to attack the members of the Tengu team. But the next moment, he noticed a terrible murderous intention enveloped him. Jinguji Seiichiro looked up in horror and saw Zhang Yi staring at him in the air. In Zhang Yi's right hand, a group of unstable dark matter is slowly condensing. Jinguji Seiichiro's pupils narrowed. He knew very well how terrifying that move was. Even Kanyuta was seriously injured. If his physical body took this attack, he would definitely die. Escape. Jinguji Seiichiro summoned the blue bat without hesitation, then jumped on its back and began to fly away into the distance. However, Zhang Yi certainly couldn't let him go. A void spear condensed into shape in his palm, and at the same time, his eyes locked on the position of Jinguji Seiichiro. Zhang Yi used the flying device to chase after him. The two of them were like two meteors speeding past in the sky. No matter how fast the blue bat was, it could not be faster than the Deng technology aircraft. When the two people's speeds were synchronized, Jinguji Seiichiro was almost still in Zhang Yi's eyes. Jinguji Seiichiro noticed Zhang Yi following closely and immediately began to fly at an arc angle. But for Zhang Yi, all this is no longer important. Spear of the Void is not a single target attack skill, but a large-scale AoE damage skill. He raised the Void Spear in his hand high in the air, pointed it in the direction of Jinguji Seiichiro, and threw it fiercely. This attack instantly covered a spherical area with a radius of 500 meters, and also covered the area where Jinguji Seiichiro escaped. All fighters are in the front line. Jinguji Seiichiro's eyes were about to burst, and the crisis of death enveloped him completely. He hurriedly summoned all the Shikigami to stand in front of him, and at the same time, deployed a protective barrier. But in front of this void spear, the Shikigami and barrier he was proud of were shattered. They are not at the same level, the difference is too obvious. In an instant, all his defenses disappeared, and his body was broken into withered fragments by the power of the void, and his flesh and blood exploded. Zhang Yi took out supernatural food to replenish his lost supernatural energy. He couldn't help but sigh secretly in his heart. For such a powerful alien, it would be a waste not to be able to collect his origin. But now, there is not much time left for him. He must clear the entire battlefield before Phoenix Inner breaks through his space seal. At this moment, Zhang Yi suddenly noticed a strange change taking place in Canute in the distance. He looked back and saw a scene that surprised him. The giant blue shark transformed by Canute actually crouched at Jiang Xingxin's feet. His attitude was full of humility, especially the look of extreme admiration in his huge shark eyes. A smile appeared on Zhang Yi's lips, and he knew that Jiang Xingxin's ability worked. The ability obtained by Yang Xingxin is called Angel of Desire, which is a trait. Each of the 3 types of arrows has different abilities. Blue, the arrow of punishment, the main killing. Red, the arrow of love. This arrow has no shape and cannot be defended because it will go straight to the heart. Once someone is hit by the arrow of love, they will fall in love with the caster from the bottom of their hearts. It was an instinct that came from the heart. Even though he knew he was under the spell, he still couldn't extricate himself from the emotion of admiration. Then, it completely becomes the effort of the performer. As for the 3rd type, the arrow of hatred, the caster will infuse the emotion of hatred into it. The person hit by the arrow will develop extreme hatred towards the designated target. Love desires life, evil desires death. The arrow of love makes him a slave, willing to die to protect the life of the one he loves. Arrows of hate make it an effort of evil intent that will kill its designated target at all costs. Yang Xingxin's ability is to play with people's hearts. The upper and lower limits of this ability are extremely high. Once successful, no matter how powerful the alien is, she will be driven by her. However, the attack power of the punishment arrow is not strong, and the speed of the arrow of love and the arrow of hatred is only equivalent to that of ordinary bullets. Therefore, in battle, how to hit the opponent is the biggest problem. Yang Xingxin has been looking for a suitable opponent. Facing her arrow of love, Quetterson chose to resist rather than dodge, which gave her a chance to hit. Then, he used Quettersang to attack the seriously injured Canute from behind. Quito-san's chains are pirate chains. They are on the sea, and they can hijack huge cargo ships with only one assault boat. The chains tied to the railings of the freighter are extremely difficult to untie. Once Quito-san's chain is hit, it will never stop. Unless the caster dies, the chain will always exist, and cannot be peeled off. After Canute was controlled by Quettersang, Yang Xingxin's arrow of love easily hit his head. Then she turned this big pirate into her slave. The 2 difficult opponents had been dealt with, but Zhang Yi did not dare to show any signs of neglect. He must solve all the trouble before Phoenix and Ren escapes. At this time, he could feel that in his different space, Phoenix Academy Ren was repeating endless reincarnations, jumping repeatedly across the boundary between life and death. And the red supernatural poison, the red lotus karma fire, also spread like red ink dripping into the water. Once this infection reaches a certain limit, Zhang Yi's alien space will collapse. After this collapse occurred, Zhang Yi was unable to open the different space again within 24 hours. In other words, after Phoenix Yuanren escapes, it will be dangerous for Zhang Yi to confront him again. Therefore, he must kill all outside opponents, so that the entire Tengu team can free up their hands to deal with Phoenix and Jinkei. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 755. You are really hard to kill. After Zhang Yi instantly killed Jinguji Seiichiro, He looked at two independent battlefields in the distance. The battle between Bailey Changqing and Dagon Yangjin was violent and bloody. The two masters of hand-to-hand combat in the strength department were completely involved in life and death combat. After taking the number 5 compound, Bailey Changqing's strength was greatly increased, allowing him to suppress the great work of Yangjin to fight. However, Dagon Yangjin's defensive power was equally astonishing. Although he was beaten very badly, there were no fatal injuries. Even after being scratched by Fang Shan's painted halberd, there was only a layer of greasy fat, but no blood vessels burst. If the fight continues like this, even if Bailey Changqing can win this battle, his own life will be in danger due to excessive overdraft of strength. Zhang Yi took out his astonishingly large sniper rifle, Leishu, and locked eyes on Dagon Yangjin, which was several kilometers away. Dagon Yangjin was already on the verge of a life and death crisis. At this moment, his mind was frantically warning that there was a sign of death, escape. There was only one thought in his mind at this time, and that was that he had to escape, otherwise he would definitely die. However, Bailey Changqing would never give him this opportunity. Bailey Changqing, whose whole body was burning with red blood, was holding Fang Shan's painted halberd in his backhand, and his facial expression had become as ferocious as an evil ghost due to the effect of the medicine. His frantic attack from the front did not give Dagon Yangjin any chance to breathe, and Zhang Yi's thunder attack has already locked his vital points. Boom. The thunderbolt made an earth-shattering roar, and from a distance of several kilometers, a silver bullet, wrapped in the extremely powerful power of space, came close in an instant. Dagon Yangjin's face instantly turned pale, and then he let out a heart-rending howl. This sound can be heard clearly by everyone, even though they are several kilometers away. They didn't know what happened to make that powerful neon yokozuna scream so painfully. Only those who were there understood what happened. Bailey Changqing looked at Dagon Yangjin's bloody lower body and couldn't help but stare in shock, and at the same time, he subconsciously covered it with one hand. This kind of pain can be deeply felt by any man. Zhang Yi stood in the air and said coldly, "No matter how strong your defense is, you can't train it to that point, right?" Although Bailey Changqing was stunned for a moment, he would not let go of such a good opportunity as he had experienced many battles. He carried Fang Shan's painted halberd and rushed in front of Dagon Yangjin, and then slashed down with the huge halberd blade with thunderous force. PFFT. The halberd blade struck his thick neck, sinking deeply into it instead of directly completing the owl's head. A large ball of white grease mixed with blood overflowed. Even if Dagon Yangjin was hit in the neck, he did not die instantly. Instead, he clamped the halberd blade with his muscles with all his strength, then pushed Fang Shan's painted halberd away, and began to escape. "It's really hard to kill." Zhang Yi frowned and said, "This kind of alien who focuses on body training, after reaching a high level of cultivation, his defense power is really amazing, and extremely difficult to kill." However, he quickly reloaded decisively, and took aim again. Boom. The shot was aimed at the crook of his knee. With one shot, a big hole was blown out of his knee, and he fell to the ground in a panic. Bailey Changqing chased after him, like a tenacious butcher chasing down the dying domestic pig. "Give me death." He jumped up, held the euphorbia in both hands, aimed it hard at the back of Dagon Yangjin, and plunged it in. PFFT. The halberd body sank into the body of Dagon Yangjin, but he was still struggling. When struggling to death, a person's strength will become infinitely large, and he almost overturned Bailey Changqing to the ground. Zhang Yi quickly changed his ammunition in the distance, and shot him in the other leg. Dagon Yangjin's legs were broken, and his body was scarred, but he relied on his strong will to support himself, and ran far away. "Team leader, where are you? Why don't you come and help me?" Dagon Yangjin roared. Zhang Yi's appearance made this battle that still had a chance of a comeback completely hopeless. "Quick fight, I won't be able to trap Phoenix Yuan Ren for too long." Zhang Yi reminds Bailey Changqing road. He already felt that his alien space could not last long. Bailey Changqing was a little anxious at this time. Why is this damn fat man so difficult to kill? Just when he was struggling, suddenly, he looked at the great worker, Yan Yanjin, who was collapsed on the ground, and an idea flashed in his mind. He made up his mind instantly, grasped Fang Shan's painted halberd with both hands, and chased towards Dagon Yanjin like lightning. The halberd is like the long wind, and the tip of the halberd is glowing with a faint light. After catching up with Dagong Zhi Yanjin, he stabbed the big halberd from behind Dagong Zhi Yanjin. There is an old saying that goes like this: no matter how strong a man is, his intestines are soft. Fang Shan painted the halberd from the outside in, sinking deeply into Dagong Yanjin's body. Even the head of the halberd was no longer visible, and the shaft of the halberd was sunk into the body by more than half a meter. Bailey Changqing used all her strength to pick him up like a skewer. A shrill scream came from Dagong Yanjin's mouth. He struggled twice in the air, unwilling and desperate. His vitality was extremely tenacious, and even though he was penetrated like this, he still didn't die. Bailey Changqing looked at the holes in his body and stabbed them in again and again. He had 7 orifices, and they were all stabbed to pieces. After being tortured hundreds of times, Dagong Yanjin lost the breath of life. Bailey Changqing gasped and thought, Zhang Yi's routine is indeed effective. He thrust Fang Shan's painted halberd into the ground. Dagong Yanjin's dead dog-like body hung on it, and blood flowed down the flagpole, soaking a large area of snow. On the other side, Yang Xingxin was thinking about Zhang Yi's words in her mind. She realized that, although the war situation was in their favor, the situation was not completely in their favor. Once Phoenix Academy Ren escapes from the trap, they must fight against a captain-level figure without Zhang Yi's spatial ability. We have to find that Miko. She knew very well that a large part of Phoenix Inner's strength came from the power of the Shrine Maiden. Meng Xiao came over and said, just leave this matter to me. She expanded the aerial photo field. With her as the center, all movements within a 3-kilometer radius were clearly detected by her. Soon he found where Mayumi Takuchi was hiding. She pointed to a container area in the distance. Cheoyu Harbor. She and an alien from Eclipse are hiding there. Let me catch her. I'll help you. Zumao and Yi took the initiative to ask Aang to arrest people. As assassin-type aliens, they are best at handling this situation. Zhang Yi felt the gradually collapsing alien space and turned his gaze to the last battlefield. The decisive battle between Liang Yu and Tsukamoto Nobunaga. Chapter 756. The Master is behind the scenes. The duel between Liang Yu and Tsukamoto Nobunaga is even more dangerous. In terms of defensive capabilities, they are not as good as the tank-type Bailey Changqing and Dagong Yanjin. Therefore, as long as you are hit by a knife, you will be disabled at least, or lose your life at worst. After the two of them exchanged arms, they both had a clear understanding of each other's strength, and no one dared to be careless in the slightest. And the next battle is all between Lightning and Flint. In order to win, they must put aside their fear and even their lives to gain a chance. Zhang Yi subconsciously raised the thunderbolt in his hand, but he hesitated, but did not fire. This is a duel between warriors. Zhang Yi has no so-called noble sentiments, so he naturally doesn't care about fairness or unfairness. But for Liang Yu, she cared very much. If Zhang Yi shoots Nobunaga from behind, it will indeed create an excellent opportunity for Liang Yu. But for Liang Yu, that might create a demon in her heart and attack her dignity as a warrior. However, now, Zhang Yi cannot miss the opportunity. So after a moment, he raised the corners of his mouth slightly and thought of a great idea. He didn't fire, but activated the precision shooting ability and locked the back of Nobunaga's head. How does it feel to have a master watching you from behind? The feeling of being targeted by a captain level figure is enough to shake anyone's mind. What's more, for a powerful samurai like Nobunaga, his intuition is even sharper, so he noticed it the moment the gun was pointed at the back of his head. No one can stay calm at a time like this, and his momentary distraction was instantly caught by Liang Yu. Martial arts masters compete with one another, and any mistake can determine victory, defeat, life, or death. Liang Yu's sword was very fast, like a gust of wind passing over the snowy field, passing by in a flash. Her knife is fast and hard. Nobunaga's sword was also very fast, but his mind was confused. Even though he blocked Liang Yu's sword with his sword, the sword's power was not as confident and powerful as before. Crack. Liang Yu took the opportunity to use his strength, holding Longming in both hands, and slashing hard at him. Those two famous swords, Daprajna Changguang and Dungang Tongzi Cut, were both shattered by this sword. PFFT. The roar of the dragon slashed from his left shoulder to his right abdomen, and blood spurted out from his strong body. Nobunaga looked at the splashing blood in disbelief. He even heard the sound of blood splashing, like the wind in his hometown. PFFT. He slowly knelt down on the ground. Liang Yu passed by him and cut off his head with a backhand knife. Looking at the two famous swords he was proud of, Liang Yu said coldly, "The skills of the so-called ancient famous swords have long been outdated. People who are immersed in history hesitate to move forward, but forget to look up, and look at the way they are going. Why? Can be called a master." There was a burst of cheers at the combat command center. The Tengu team killed members of Eclipse one after another. How could they not be inspired? Next, only their team leader is left. ZHU Zheng said in a deep voice, "Kill him and this mission will be over." Secretary Lan Xinchen came over and complimented. ZHU Shui has a sharp eye and discovered Zhang Yi, a talented person. ZHU Zheng smiled and nodded. "I didn't expect that this kid would burst out with such amazing power after being forced into a desperate situation. He is completely captain level in strength. And he is also a stranger from the outer city. His talent is so high that it is unimaginable." Sun Luxuan reminded. "However, Phoenix Yuanren is not dead yet. According to our intelligence, Zhang Yi's different space cannot carry excessive energy. It would be difficult to trap a captain. If he escapes, it will be very dangerous." ZHU Zheng suppressed the smile on his face. He folded his hands under his chin. "Believe first, then question. I believe Zhang Yi must have made arrangements." The battle situation in Qianhai City was also reported to Tu Yunli and Gao Changkang in real time. Tu Yunli, codenamed ZHU Rong, had a shocked expression on his face after hearing the news. "Zhang Yi, is this guy that strong?" After finishing speaking, he turned around and silently looked at the leader of the Jidao demon. The strength of this Ronin organization from the islands surrounding Neon should not be underestimated. In particular, their three leaders, Yamada K, second from the right, Ebina Koizora and Noa Ryota, all have the strength of a high-ranking Delta alien. I have to speed up too. As for the Samsara team, after hearing the information from Blizzard City, Gao Changkang was surprised and had a smile of admiration on his face. "You're so surprisingly strong." Zhang Yi. Qianhai City battlefield. Zhang Yi silently put away the thunder, then pretended that nothing happened, and shouted in the communication device, "Everyone, gather." Zhang Yi came among the members of the Tengu team. Everyone had joyful smiles on their faces. They all believed that the victory was determined, and they sincerely admired Zhang Yi, who was like a god descending to earth. Zhang Yi said coldly, "The real fierce battle has just begun. I can't suppress Phoenix Yuanren anymore, so be prepared." After Liang Yu and Bailey Changking arrived at the scene, Zhang Yi opened the different space without hesitation, and then released Phoenix Yuanren, who had been detained by him for several minutes. As for himself, he used space to travel, and left the battlefield in an instant. His alien space is on the verge of collapse, so instead of waiting for Phoenix Yuanren to completely destroy the alien space, it is better to release it in advance. As for the next battle, Zhang Yi decided to leave it to others. And he knew very well that he was the first person Phoenix Yuanren wanted to kill, and he had to run far away. Phoenix Yuanren appears surrounded by members of the Tengu squad. He was naked, with clear muscle lines on his muscular body, but at this time, his eyes were full of confusion. The flow rate of time in different spaces is completely different from reality. Although from the outside it looked like he was trapped inside for only a few minutes. But in that world, his spirit experienced time turmoil for decades. He was in a world where his body could hardly move, but his nerves and thoughts remained normal. It was an unimaginable torture and the most cruel mental prison in the world. For decades, there was only a vast white alien space in front of me. Over the past few decades, Phoenix Yuanren has forgotten many things. However, his willpower is extraordinary after all. The process of adapting to the Phoenix Flame made him experience thousands of deaths, which had long since tempered his will into steel. I'm Phoenix Yuanren, the team leader of Eclipse Moon. I took over the central plains of Huaxu Kingdom to provide fertile ground for the landing faction to survive in the apocalypse. In his eyes, the confusion gradually dissipated. I want to kill a man named Zhang Yi. Phoenix Yuanren's consciousness gradually returned to the present. For him, it was already decades ago. He forgot a lot, but he didn't forget what he was going to do. Kill him. Bailey Changqing roared angrily and took the lead to charge forward. Liang Yu followed closely with a long knife in hand. Beside Yang Xingxin, a huge blue shark floated on the ground extremely docilely, its eyes filled with admiration for her. Go, Canute, kill him. Yang Xingxin ordered. Yes, Xingxin. You are my light of hope, my fire of desire, my original sin, and my soul. For you, I will give everything, including my life. Canute said piously. P.S. Please give me a free little gift and support the author. The daily income has been falling recently, and I have no motivation. Chapter 757 The Angel of Desire. Canute rushed towards Phoenix Yuanren excitedly. As long as it was something Yang Xingxin asked him to do, he would be filled with joy. If you don't even have the determination to die for the woman you love, why should you say you love her? Yang Xingxin had a chilling expression on her face. But her abilities were like this, and she had no choice but to adapt. Bailey Changqing, Liang Yu, and Canute, the three deputy captain level combat forces surrounded and killed one person from the Phoenix Academy. Others were swarming around. Even if they wanted to help, the level gap was too big and the power they could exert was limited. At this time, what is Zhang Yi, the captain, doing? He leaned against the back of an abandoned container, silently took out a cigarette from his pocket and lit it. In the next battle, the abilities he can exert are limited. Because the different space was on the verge of collapse at this time, he could no longer fight Phoenix in on the frontal battlefield. He must leave, otherwise Phoenix Yuanren will kill him at all costs. There were several people beside him. Uncle Liu, Fatty Zhu and Zhao Han trained them. The previous pirate team had been completely wiped out by them. However, as a result, Cheyenne Hay City's remaining combat power was weakened a bit, and the base's combat power suffered a lot of casualties. Zhao Hanglian looked at the golden cup in Zhang Yi's hand, and stretched out his hand to Zhang Yi. Give me one. Zhang Yi glanced at her, and threw one over. Several men and a woman, somewhat tired, took a short rest on the battlefield. You leave, can they handle it? Zhao Hanglian exhaled a wisp of white smoke from her bright red lips and asked. He also needs to consume a huge amount of energy to escape from my different space. Zhang Yi said lightly. In just 10 minutes, Phoenix Yuanren experienced countless deaths, and every death consumes his essence. Even though he caused Zhang Yi's alien space to almost collapse, he himself was no longer in the same state as when he was at his peak. Bailey Changqing and others will join forces to deal with him, so there shouldn't be much of a problem, Zhang Yi said. But as soon as he finished speaking, there was a deafening roar behind him. Boom. A huge shadow appeared above several people, and then a huge object hit hard not far away from them. That was Canute's body. The incarnation of the huge blue shark smashed a terrifying deep pit on the ground. Ice, snow, and mud flew up, splashing on several people. Crossing Cheyenne couldn't help but said, it seems that the situation is not that optimistic. Zhang Yi took a deep breath, dusted off the dirt on his body, and carefully looked through the container at the battle situation. In the battlefield, a raging storm was gathering, and he saw a red figure shuttled through the battlefield like a phoenix. This is bad. Zhang Yi took a deep breath, his heart lifted again. Although Phoenix Yuanren's power was greatly weakened by him, but it doesn't mean that the three of Liang Yu can defeat him, because these three people also had serious injuries. In the battlefield, Phoenix Academy Ren was laughing wildly. His team is gone, and almost everyone died in the battle, so he wants to kill all the members of the Tengu squad. I haven't lost yet. As long as I live, I can start over. Eclipse will not be defeated. Phoenix Yuanren's body surface was burning with red flames, which were karmic fires that even strangers dared not touch. Once it is contaminated, it will be as difficult to dispel as tarsal maggots, and can only be offset by consuming supernatural powers. Bailey Changqing and Liang Yu have fought to the point of madness. They know that they cannot retreat. This is the last battle. Several other battlefields are also paying attention to the results here. Zhang Yi looked at the crazy Phoenix Yuanren and subconsciously wanted to take out Lei Shu and give him a shot. But when he thought that the person Phoenix Yuanren hated most must be himself, he gave up the idea. So what if I kill him? He can still be resurrected. We still have to find a chance to seal him. Zhang Yi checked the time. 37 minutes have passed since the battle began. The support Gao Changkang promised did not arrive. He wants me to die and then come here to pick it up, right? A sneer appeared on the corner of Zhang Yi's mouth. Gao Changkang seems to be a very perfect character. He comes from a poor background and has a perfect personality. But he has never trusted such a person. Because no one is perfect. If there really is, then it must be a disguise. And a character who can always pretend to be a perfect persona must be more ruthless than ordinary people. Blizzard City wants to use me to contain him. Why doesn't he want me to die? Then Blizzard City has to give him the credit for eliminating Eclipse. After all, Blizzard City needs a monument to become an idol in people's hearts. Zhang Yi gave up his plan to wait for support. He said to the intelligence system, "Reconnect Blizzard City." Roger that. The communication channel was reconnected. Zhang Yi does not trust the headquarters because there may be undercover agents there. However, if others don't make it easy for him, he can't make it easy for others either. The Samsara team did not arrive at the scheduled time. There is something wrong with Gao Changkang. He may be the undercover agent of Eclipse. Zhang Yi called Gao Changkang by his name, not his code name. As soon as Zhang Yi said these words, ZHU Zheng's eyes widened. You mean, Gao Changkang, the captain of our investigation team, is an undercover agent of Eclipse? His brow furrowed. This news sounds too incredible. What is the identity of the investigation captain? In Blizzard City, they are second only to a few senior executives. And Eclipse Moon is just a small run-in organization in Neon. What reason did he have for betraying? Zhang Yi said calmly, the iron law of the investigation team is the concept of time. It was promised half an hour, but it was so late. There is only one reason. They have colluded with Eclipse and hope that we will die. Zhang Yi was not sure whether Gao Changkang really betrayed. This is just a guess. But one thing can be concluded. Gao Changkang was looking forward to Zhang Yi's death. So he didn't mind throwing dirty water on Gao Changkang. ZHU Zheng said calmly, we will investigate. I will contact the Samsara team immediately. Zhang Yi, the only enemy left is Phoenix Yuanren. As long as you kill him, the mission will be completed. Remember, do whatever it takes. Zhang Yi closed the communication, and a mocking smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. At any cost, at whose expense? It won't be mine anyway. Phoenix Yuanren searched for Zhang Yi on the battlefield. He knew that he had to kill Zhang Yi. But there were too many members of the Tengu team around, and Zhang Yi seemed to have disappeared, with no trace at all. Death. Die. Let me die. Phoenix Yuanren shuttled across the battlefield. His speed was too fast and his power was too strong. Wherever the red phoenix fire passed by, the ground became scorched black. Laugh. With one strike of the hand knife, Sniper Qi Guangming's body was cut into 2 pieces. Nasty flies. He laughed wildly and rushed towards Meng Xiao, who was helpless. Meng Xiao's little face suddenly turned pale. At the critical moment, Canute returned to the battlefield and forcibly blocked his punch. But a huge hole was also smashed into his own body, and the phoenix flames burned his body, making him wail in pain. Chapter 758. Liang Yu and Bailey Changqing were panting from the fight. One of Liang Yu's arms was disabled, and he could only hold the sword in his left hand. His fighting ability was not half as good as his peak. While Bailey Changqing used drugs to forcibly increase his strength, his body was also collapsing at this time. If he keeps fighting, it won't be long before the drug backfires on him, and he will die without Phoenix Inin's intervention. As for the other members of the Tengu team, it's even worse. Even the current Phoenix Infernal Ren, killing them is like killing a chicken. That kind of speed, that kind of power, that kind of red lotus fire that can ignore their abilities, made them deeply feel the terrifying captain level combat power. PFFT. Lu Yinghao also died, and his death was very sudden. He didn't even catch the figure of Phoenix Yuanren, and the world in front of him lost its luster. Zhang Yi, get out of here. Phoenix Inin shouted loudly from the center of the battlefield. Zhang Yi could hear clearly from a distance. He frowned but was not in a hurry to go out. If you go out now, I will be the only one who dies. Zhang Yi must keep a sufficient distance from him. Have you found the witch? He asked the team members. Found it, Captain. Yi and Zumayo stood in front of Shimano Monosatoru's body, looking at Takuchi Mayumi shivering in the corner of the container, with a sneer on their lips. Do you want to kill her? As long as Takuchi Mayumi is killed, Phoenix Engine will lose the precognitive ability given by blood. His combat effectiveness will be greatly reduced, and only then will the Tengu team have a chance to win. Zhang Yi sighed. Catch her alive. Don't let her die. Yi nodded. I understand, Captain. He walked forward and looked down at the woman in front of him who had caused the destruction of the god team, his eyes filled with hatred. He punched Mayumi Takuchi hard in the abdomen. She convulsed like a shrimp and vomited out a large ball of gastric juice. Damn neon bitch. He cursed and stuffed a gun into her mouth to prevent her from committing suicide. Soon after, Yi and Zumayo captured Takuchi Mayumi. Yang Xingxin was also brought to Zhang Yi by Huata. Captain, what should we do with her? Yi asked, staring at Mayumi Takuchi. She was thrown directly to the ground like a broken sack. No, I'm still useful. Zhang Yi stared at the woman on the ground, with a relaxed smile on his face. With her here, Feng Huang Yuanren will be able to solve the problem easily. Mayumi Takuchi was so weak that she no longer had the strength to speak. She was already extremely weak. How could she withstand Yi's punch? Xingxin, give her an arrow. Zhang Yi said. Yang Xingxin understood, and the manipulative angel shot an arrow of love at her. Make this woman her slave. Now, tell me everything about Phoenix Engine. How on earth do we have to kill him? Yang Xingxin leaned down and looked at Mayumi Takuchi and said. There was a pink mist in Mayumi Takuchi's eyes. In her eyes, Yang Xingxin became the only person in the world worthy of her trust and reliance. It could even make her give up her life for it. He cannot be killed. Even if there is only one drop of blood, he can regenerate. If you want to kill him, you have to exhaust all his origins. But it is only possible if he dies at least 10,000 times. This statement silenced everyone. Kill Phoenix Engine 10,000 times? Zhang Yi's space power was temporarily unavailable, and no one else could kill Phoenix Yuanren even once. Is there any other way besides this? Yang Xingxin asked calmly. Let him kill himself. Mayumi Takuchi said seriously. The only one who can destroy him is himself. Fatty Zu pulled his hair frantically. Isn't this nonsense? He's not sick. Why would he kill himself? Zhang Yi stood up slowly, threw away the cigarette butt in his hand, and stamped it out. I understand. Just do it. Everyone looked at Zhang Yi in surprise. Captain, do you have any ideas? Almost, it's worth a try. Zhang Yi looked at Mayumi Takuchi and smiled. Having controlled her, we have won half the battle. In the battlefield, Phoenix Engine put huge pressure on the Tengu team. He killed 2 people in a matter of moments. If Bailey Changqing and Liang Yu hadn't fought tooth and nail to block him, no one else would have been able to survive his attack. But in the blink of an eye, Phoenix Yuanren suddenly felt that the vision in front of him had changed significantly. Something was ripped away from his body. He was stunned for a moment before he realized that he could no longer see the future. What's going on? Why can't I see the direction of their attack clearly? It seems that there is something very important that I have forgotten. Phoenix Yuanren thought for a long time before he realized what he had forgotten. He had a partner before. It seemed that his name was Takuchi Mayumi. Phoenix Engine. A somewhat familiar voice came from the air, catching Phoenix Din's eyes. He looked up and saw a face that he hated deeply. Zhang Yi. Phoenix Yuanren's expression turned ferocious, and he looked up to the sky and let out an angry roar. Then the whole person bowed slightly, and after accumulating power, it shot into the sky like a cannonball. Zhang Yi piloted the flying device to quickly dodge in the air. Then he raised the thunderbolt in his hand and aimed at Phoenix Yuanren. Based on this, do you think you can kill me? Phoenix Yuanren sneered. Zhang Yi's bullets couldn't catch up with his movements. After he landed, he stood up again and wanted to kill Zhang Yi. But after a deafening gunshot passed through the air, Phoenix Yuanren's body was penetrated by a huge force, and the whole person fell to the ground. Before he died, he still couldn't figure out how Zhang Yi hit him. Zhang Yi stood in the air, with bloody streaks flowing across his body. Takuchi Mayumi's blood grant blessed him at this time. He can see Phoenix Engine's future within 5 seconds, and can judge his position in advance to attack. Phoenix Engine died. his body burning rapidly in preparation for his next rebirth. The members of the Tengu team seized this opportunity and quickly rushed forward, and then took out the special spray guns from their bodies. White smoke began to spray out at his body. That is liquid nitrogen, which can quickly reduce the temperature to more than 100 degrees below zero, and can even lock the state of cells. This is the method that the Tengu team came up with to deal with Phoenix Engine. As long as his cells are blocked, he may be able to be on the borderline between life and death, unable to be resurrected. Under the cooling effect of a large amount of liquid nitrogen, Phoenix Yuanren's body was frozen into a white ice sculpture. Chapter 759 Disqualification in the Human World. Phoenix Yuanren turned into an ice sculpture, but before everyone could breathe a sigh of relief, a blazing red flame rose up and melted the surrounding ice crystals. Phoenix Yuanren resurrected from the ashes again, and his idea of using freezing method to seal him failed. It doesn't matter, just do it a few more times. Zhang Yi didn't panic at all. Blood Grant gave him the ability to predict the future. Even without the blessing of space power, he could kill Phoenix Yuanren. The moment he was resurrected, Zhang Yi loaded the bullet again and shot in another direction. After he pulled the trigger, Phoenix Yuanren flew there. That's where Mayumi Takuchi is. The bullet collided with his fast-moving body in the air, as if Phoenix Yuanren hit the bullet deliberately, and his body was torn apart again. Phoenix Yuanren was still laughing wildly before he died. "You can't kill me. You can't kill me." Zhang Yi looked at his falling body indifferently. "I can't kill you, but you can." Huahua flew quickly from a distance, carrying Yang Xingxin and Takuchi Mayumi on its back. The angel of desire behind Yang Xingxin raised his bow and arrow, and a black arrow of hatred was aimed at Feng Huang Yuanren. "You have to shoot him the moment he reshapes his body," Mayumi Takuchi reminded seriously. "Thank you." Yang Xingxin smiled. She aimed accurately, and at the moment Phoenix Yuanren reshaped his body, the arrow of hatred pierced his strong chest. "Hate yourself, Phoenix Engine." Phoenix Yuanren had just been resurrected when he felt like an arrow had been hit in his chest. There was no feeling of pain, but he inexplicably felt a strong sense of crisis. An uncontrollable feeling of self-loathing welled up from the deepest part of his heart. His eyes widened, and he looked down at his chest in astonishment. There were no wounds, but his heart felt extremely painful. He thought back on his whole life. He has been a born bad guy since he was a child. He likes violence and cruelty. Killing stray cats and wild dogs on the roadside is his happiest thing. This cruel character was well concealed by him in front of his parents and relatives. But the longer emotions are suppressed, the more powerful they will rebound. With the advent of the apocalypse, he finally lost all his restraints and began to face his heart happily. The first person he killed was his wife, who had been mocking him all day long for not being able to earn enough to support the family. After the first kill, it took him less than a minute to adapt to the trembling in his heart and become excited. Since then, he has been on the road to killing and getting out of hand. Too many people died at his hands. In order to reward himself, he specially put on his backpack after the end of the world and began to travel to the places he had experienced in his life. Then, kill those characters who had had grudges with him one by one. The elementary school teacher who scolded him, the neighbor who had a dispute with his family, the female college student who falsely accused him of peeping on the subway, the president of the company he works for. That's a very thick death note. He called it the 100 people he wanted to kill after the end of the world. And he did kill everyone he could. In order to achieve this goal, he even revived the entire family of a dying enemy. When the other party expresses his gratitude with tears of gratitude, he kills them all with a smile. At this time, Feng Huang Yuanren's chest was in great pain. He clutched his chest. The pain was so painful that he could hardly breathe. He gasped for air, with tears in his eyes, and cried bitterly, "What have I done? How could I kill so many people? This kind of sin cannot be atoned, even if I die 100 times. I'm so sorry for being human." Yang Xingxin's voice floated from a distance. "You don't need 100 times. One death is enough." She frowned, with a look of disgust on her face. "You filthy stinky pig, despicable mutated pheasant. Kill yourself quickly." Phoenix Yuanren has lost the motivation to live. His heart was completely occupied by a crazy thought: death. I shouldn't be alive in this world. After he said these words, he slowly closed his eyes and then knelt down on the broken battlefield with weak legs. You kill me. Phoenix Inin, who has given up his belief in living, will no longer be any different from ordinary people when he no longer uses the power of the phoenix. At this time, Zhang Yi had secretly injected himself with compound number 2. Under the influence of the drug, his strength was temporarily enhanced, and even the space that was on the verge of collapse was temporarily curbed from collapsing. Everyone here in the combat command center had the same expression as everyone else at the scene, and they all stood up excitedly. Quick, kill him. Kill him and it will be over. Zhu Zeng said impatiently. This matter must be settled, otherwise as the commander-in-chief of Jiangnan region, he will not be able to explain it to anyone. Everyone in the command center was also staring at the screen with expectant and nervous expressions. Okay, I'll help you. Zhang Yi opened the different space, and Heng Dao Shenkei appeared in his hand. Looking at Feng Huang Yuanren who was kneeling on the ground begging for death, everyone's eyes showed hatred and eagerness. Hated what he did. Eager because killing him is not only a great honor, but also a huge benefit. Who doesn't want to get a powerful source of captain level? This is why Zhang Yi injected compound number 2. After experiencing being backstabbed by someone in Blizzard City, he now doesn't trust anyone, not even the members of the Tengu team around him. There are differences in status between these people and him. Now that the mission of encircling and suppressing the eclipse moon has been completed, they have lost the basis for cooperation. Therefore, Zhang Yi had to beware of them robbing Phoenix Yuanren's origins. But fortunately, other people are not stupid either. Although they longed to get the origin of Phoenix Yuanren, they would not take action at this time. After all, Zhang Yi's strength is there. Zhang Yi walked step by step 500 meters away from Phoenix Courtyard. His steps were firm but slow, and he did not become careless, because he was about to win. A person who travels 100 miles is half a mile, and now he can no longer afford any mistakes. After reaching the sniper range of the double doors, he immediately opened the 2 doors. Then through the ability to cross the double door, the horizontal knife in his hand was quickly swung out. Puff! Phoenix Yuanren's head was thrown high into the air, and then rolled to the ground. Everyone held their breath, the more nervous they became at this time. After Zhang Yi waited for more than 10 seconds, he turned back to Yang Xingxin and said, "Can I ask that neon woman how to confirm that he is dead?" Yang Xingxin looked at Mayumi Takuchi. Mayumi Takuchi, who has become her loyal dog, said frankly, his immortality ability will be activated at the moment of death. And now that he is not resurrected, it means that he has not used the ability and is really dead. Zhang Yi thought for a while, took out the liquid nitrogen gun, froze Feng Huang Yuanren's body, and then shot it to pieces. After waiting for a few more minutes, it was confirmed that Phoenix Infernal Ren was really dead. There were no surprises, and Zhang Yi even felt a little disappointed. He even thought to himself, I'm so steady, if you don't make some changes, won't I look stupid? This scene looked a bit stained, so much so that the rest of the Tengu team became a little impatient. Although being more stable is not a bad thing, but their captain is a little too steady, right? Chapter 760 The End of the Eclipse. No matter what, Phoenix Yuanren is dead. This also declares that Blizzard City's battle against Eclipse has been successful. There was a burst of fierce cheers. All the members of the Tengu team had tears in their eyes, and they looked up to the sky with excitement, and shouted like they were crying and laughing. They have been suppressing it for too long for this moment. It also put them under too much pressure. The combat command center also burst into excited cheers. Zhu Zeng, who always looked serious on weekdays, showed a relaxed smile, and landed safely on the chair. This kid Zhang Yi finally didn't disappoint me. The guard behind him, Sun Luxun, adjusted his old-fashioned glasses, with a speechless expression on his face, and thought to himself, it seems that you didn't expect him to behave like this from the beginning, right? He turned to look at the big screen. Zhang Yi picked up Phoenix Yuanren's head. Sun Luxun couldn't help but smile, and nodded secretly. This kid is indeed a good prospect. His potential may be greater than that of several investigation captains in Blizzard City. Lan Xincheng walked up to Zhu Zeng with a smile, bowed his waist and congratulated. Congratulations, Commander Zhu. Under your leadership, Jiangnan region successfully annihilated the invading enemies, which demonstrates the great strength of our Jiangnan region. I believe that after this battle, it will definitely deter the young people in other areas and prevent them from having any contempt for Jiangnan region. Zhu Zeng was in a good mood at this time. Hearing Lan Xincheng's words made him feel much better, but he has not yet fallen to the point of arrogance and complacency. Suddenly, he thought of one thing. Zhang Yi just said something to me. He said that Gao Changkang is an undercover agent in Blizzard City. Zhu Zeng frowned. Why did Zhang Yi say this? Gao Changkang, he has no reason to cooperate with Eclipse Moon. That sentence was originally Zhang Yi's diversion and dirty talk. In fact, he didn't have any evidence. But somewhere, Zhang Yi did realize something. He was certain that there must be some problem if Gao Changkang did not come to support as agreed. He just exaggerated and reported the problem to Zhu Zeng. This made Zhu Zeng start to pay attention to this issue. Lan Xincheng also looked puzzled. Zhang Yi suddenly said this without any evidence. However, the Samsara team did nothing during this operation. Zhu Zeng rubbed his chin and thought for a while, then said, contact the Samsara team for me immediately. Also let Zhang Yi and the others rest where they are, so they don't have to rush back. They must be very tired after fighting such a difficult battle. It just so happens that Xianhe City is Zhang Yi's hometown, so it would be good to let him rest there. Lan Xincheng praised. Yes, Zhu Shui, you are really considerate of your subordinates. After saying that, he immediately asked the staff to contact Gao Changkang. This is very easy to do. The members of the Samsara team all carry monitoring equipment that can observe their location in real time. At this time, the members of the Samsara team were all on the plane. According to the nebula system, they were almost arriving at Xianhe City. A trace of ridicule appeared on the corner of Lan Xincheng's mouth. He was a little repelled by Gao Changkang's Samsara team. Because Gao Changkang was born in area of Blizzard City, his team members were basically from the lower areas. This is completely different from Lan Xincheng, who was born into a noble family. Even if they become members of the investigation team, Lan Xincheng does not really think that they are equal to Lan Xincheng in his heart. This comes from class arrogance. But this time, seeing that Gao Changkang's Samsara team had failed to do anything and would definitely be defeated when they came back, Lan Xincheng naturally felt a little joking in his heart. He even thought about how to ridicule Gao Changkang after he returned to Blizzard City. Soon, the communication was connected. Zhu Zeng personally talked to Gao Changkang. Hey, Wheelking, you don't have to go to Xianhe City. Come back to Blizzard City. Zhang Yi and the others have completed their mission. After Gao Changkang heard Zhu Zeng's words, a look of surprise flashed across his face. But soon, his face returned to calmness, revealing a plain smile. It's really surprising, but it's also a huge surprise. Zhu Zeng said calmly, you can come back directly. Although you did not directly encounter the eclipse this time, you have worked hard. You can have a good rest for a while when you come back this time. Gao Changkang smiled and said, yes, we will go back right away. Immediately, the two ended the call. Gao Changkang looked at the members of the Samsara team beside him and conveyed Zhu Zeng's words with a smile. Everyone had a look of astonishment. Ji Yushin's eyes narrowed. That stranger from the outer city, he actually killed Phoenix Yuan Ren? Is he that strong? Gao Changkang smiled and nodded. All of us were deceived by him. That man hid so deeply that even the entire Jiangnan region was kept in the dark by him. If Eclipse hadn't joined forces with the Xianlang pirates, I might not have been able to force out his true strength. Hey, it's really scary. Gao Changkang turned on the communicator and tried to contact Zhang Yi. I have to say congratulations to him properly. At this time, Zhang Yi was holding Feng Huang Yuanren's head. The origin will dissipate quickly with the death of the stranger, so he must absorb it as soon as possible. And in his current state, even if he absorbs the essence of Phoenix Academy Ren, there will be no adverse physical reactions. So he started the process of absorption directly in front of everyone. He must regain his strength as soon as possible. It's unclear who the mole in Blizzard City is. Now that he has eliminated Eclipse, there is no use value for many people in Blizzard City, and they may be attacked by sneak attacks. At this time, Gao Changkong's call request came from the communicator. Zhang Yi frowned suddenly. After thinking for a moment, he connected to the communication there. Chaos. The wheel turning king. Congratulations, you have completed this significant mission. From now on, you will become the hero of the entire Jiangnan region. While absorbing the power of Phoenix Academy Ren, Zhang Yi responded calmly, it's just a false name, it doesn't matter to me. His eyes were very sharp. Gao Changkong was also on his suspicion list. It's you, but you're late. Gao Changkong was 7 minutes late, but for a captain of the investigation team, there should not be such a degree of mistake. Gao Changkong smiled. He did not answer the question, but looked out the window leisurely. Blizzard City's huge city walls are lined with layers, layer after layer, dividing the entire city into hierarchical areas. I admire you very much. At least we have proved that ordinary people like us are no worse than any so-called noble people, right? Chapter 761. No one is ever born to be superior. After Gao Changkong finished speaking those words of unknown meaning, he ended the call. But Zhang Yi's pupils shrank sharply. No, 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 no. Gao Changkong's words made his hair stand on end. For some reason, he was keenly aware of something. Something big must have happened. His left hand grasped Phoenix Yuan Ren's head, frantically absorbing his original power. As expected of a captain, Phoenix Energy has a very strong foundation. The feeling of power pouring into his body made Zhang Yi feel comfortable all over. Even his space, that was close to collapse, was being repaired quickly. Perhaps because of absorbing the origin of Phoenix Academy Ren, the supernatural toxins left by him in the alien space, that is, the power of karma fire, began to slowly dissipate. However, Zhang Yi had no time to be surprised. He seemed to have caught something, as if he had found a thread in a mess of wool. His tone was so weird, it wasn't like what a well-rounded person would say. According to his past style of doing things, he would definitely congratulate me properly instead of being so perfunctory. When a person's temperament suddenly changes, he or she has experienced a major blow in life. Or, Zhang Yi suddenly raised his head, his pupils shrinking slightly under the white light of ice and snow. The long-standing disguise has been torn apart, and the true colors have been revealed. But, what exactly is Gao Changkong going to do? Come to kill him? Zhang Yi frowned, not thinking that Gao Changkong would do this. That is meaningless. Even if Zhang Yi is killed, the credit will not belong to him. And he will completely break with the Jiangnan region. Zhang Yi couldn't guess what was wrong with Gao Changkong, but now he was even more suspicious that there was a connection between the lunar eclipse incident and Gao Changkong. It's just a gut feeling. But he still chose to contact Blizzard City immediately and told ZHU Zheng the news. Gao Changkong doesn't feel right to me. He may be related to the eclipse. It's best to investigate, if you have time. ZHU Zheng frowned. Okay, we will definitely investigate this matter. It has been confirmed that someone inside Blizzard City is conspiring with Eclipse. But who it is, we can't say for sure yet. At this moment, Yang Xingxin rode Huahua to Zhang Yi's side. Brother Zhang Yi, is there such a possibility? She tilted her head and looked at Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi raised his head and looked at her. Xingxin, what did you guess? Yang Xingxin said slowly, you are in Xianhai City. Tu Yunli leads Yan Yunwei in Huazhou City, and the Samsara team went to Linhai City. In Blizzard City right now, the defensive force is the weakest. Will something happen inside Blizzard City? Could it be related to the Samsara team? The call between Zhang Yi and ZHU Zheng has not ended yet, and ZHU Zheng heard these words clearly. But ZHU Zheng said, they are still over Xianhai City, so it is impossible for them to have such thoughts. Blizzard City is monolithic, and any problems will be easily resolved by us. You don't have to worry too much. But before ZHU Zheng finished speaking, there was a violent explosion during the call, which made Zhang Yi's eardrums hurt. The communication between him and ZHU Zheng was interrupted. Sometimes, I often wonder, why can those big shots always be so high up and decide the life and death of others? Later I figured it out. It's power. Power is the supreme thing. Money, fame, and wealth are worthless in the face of power. Gao Changkong loaded his gun and said to the members of the Samsara team with a smile, I have been working hard in the basketball field for so many years, and I have achieved great success and won countless honors. They call me a hero. But for a hero like me, after the end of the world comes, I can't even give my parents a chance to live in Blizzard City. Gao Changkang looked at the huge black tall building outside and narrowed his eyes slightly. Since then, I have begun to understand what is a hero. A hero is nothing in the face of power. Justice must be achieved with our fists. I thought about using peaceful methods to climb up, gain status, and then change this unfair world. But they didn't even give me such a chance. So now, I can only talk to them in my own way. The alloy door in front of him slowly opened. At this time, the members of the reincarnation team came out one by one. Wearing combat uniforms, they stood in front of the building of the combat command center. The security guard at the door saw them and saluted with a smile. Captain Gao, you are back so soon. Is the mission a triumph? I knew there was no task you couldn't complete. Facing the enthusiastic guards, Gao Changkang walked over with a smile. Although they were all armed and ready for battle, no one stopped them. Because the Samsara team is the hero of Blizzard City. Who would doubt their patron saint? But there is something fishy about this matter after all. Shouldn't the Samsara team be in Linhai City, hundreds of kilometers away? Why did it suddenly appear here? There were guards downstairs who thought about it and reported the news to the superiors. After Lan Xinqiang got the news, he was stunned. What did you say? People from the Samsara team appeared in the command center. ZHU Zheng also stood up in surprise. Team Samsara. Aren't they still above Linhai City? Why are they here? Staff members have already called out the surveillance on the first floor. Indeed, there is nothing wrong with being a member of the Samsara team. Headed by Gao Changkang, a total of 9 team members are there. Only one person is missing. Why are they here? What's going on? Zhang Yi's warning suddenly came to ZHU Zheng's mind. The Samsara team may have betrayed Blizzard City. Cold sweat broke out on Lan Xinqiang's forehead. The missing person is Chen Xiaozheng, whose ability code is chameleon. He can perfectly disguise himself as anything. ZHU Zheng gritted his teeth and shouted, "Oh no. Those guys who went to Linhai City are all fake. The real Samsara team has never left Blizzard City from the beginning. Yes, the people from the Samsara team have always been here and have never left. The only ones left were the Tengu squad and the Yan'an elite led by Tu Yunli. There is no need to doubt what they want to do." ZHU Zheng immediately yelled, "Don't let them come up. Immediately activate the security system of the building and order all the guards in the city to come for support." The entire perimeter of the building was immediately wrapped with a thick layer of special metal plates. At the same time, the corridors and stairs on each floor are separated by dozens of thick metal doors. The red alarm sounded harshly. The combat command center has the highest level of defense means. As long as it is fully activated, even if a high-level alien attacks, it will be impossible to break through in a short time. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 762 Revolution. No one expected that the Samsara team would suddenly launch a rebellion. The entire Blizzard City immediately entered a first level alert state. The combat command center building also opened all security measures. ZHU Zheng gritted his teeth and opened the communication with Gao Changkang. "Gao Changkang, are you going to rebel?" A meaningful smile appeared on the corner of Gao Changkang's mouth. "No, this is revolution." ZHU Zheng was so angry that he almost smashed the table with his fist. The staff on the first floor were completely dumbfounded. Although they also have armed defense forces, with their strength, how can they possibly fight against the entire Samsara squad? There is only one result, which is death. But they couldn't just watch Gao Changkang lead his men to break through the defense. The scene fell into a stalemate. The guards raised their guns with hesitation on their faces, and the fear in their hearts had enveloped them. At this moment, a steady voice came from the crowd. "Okay, leave this matter to me." Everyone followed the sound and saw Wu Zhengheng from the security department walking out. "Director, Wu Zhengheng walked up to Gao Changkang, just as everyone was sweating for him. Wu Zhengheng took out the remote control from his pocket and opened the security restrictions on the first floor and the elevator door. Everyone's eyes are straight. They couldn't believe that this conscientious supervisor would do such a thing. Is he helping the Samsara team carry out a rebellion? Fortresses were breached from within. No matter how powerful the security measures of the Combat Command Center are, they cannot prevent the personnel responsible for security and defense from rebelling. Gao Changkang smiled and said to Wu Zhengheng, "Thank you. I will do what I promised you." Wu Zhengheng nodded and watched the members of the Samsara team get into the elevator without saying anything. This scene left the senior staff stunned. He is also an undercover agent. Wu Zhengheng, he betrayed Blizzard City. This hateful guy, I'm so unworthy of my trust in him. ZHU Zheng was furious. Lan Xincheng comforted him. ZHU Shui, we have 3 layers of security measures, so don't worry. When the entire city's defense forces arrive, we will be able to hold them back. Now for the sake of safety, let's escape first. The higher-ups of the command center arranged helicopters just to deal with this special moment. ZHU Zheng had a straight face. At this time, inside Blizzard City, Zhang Yi and Tu Yunli were separated, and the interior was very empty. All this must have been planned by Gao Changkang. Even thinking deeper, it is almost certain that the entire lunar eclipse incident was Gao Changkang's plan. How hateful. No, I can't get out of here. ZHU Zheng sat down steadily, with sharp eyes, and crossed his hands on the table. I'm the commander-in-chief of Jiangnan region. I must not hand over the command center to traitors. Immediately order all the defense forces in the city to come and exterminate the traitors. ZHU Zheng remained calm in the face of danger and quickly analyzed the combat power between the enemy and ourselves. Although the 2 major forces have been taken away, they will not be able to come back in a short time. But it doesn't mean that Blizzard City has no defense capabilities. There are powerful strangers among the 30-strong permanent defense force and armed departments at all levels, including the guard behind him, Sun Luxun, and his secretary Lan Xincheng. They are also masters in the alien field. Right here, have a good fight with Gao Changkang. At the same time, there was another question in his mind. Why did Gao Changkang, once a national sports hero, collude with the Neon Ronin and betray the Jiangnan region? Lan Xincheng urged anxiously, but your life safety is the most important. If something happens to you, what will happen to the entire Blizzard City? What will happen to the Jiangnan region? ZHU Zheng insisted. Escape. Where can I escape to? I'm not going anywhere. I'm just here to see what they can do to me. Lan Xincheng's face was full of anxiety, and he had no choice but to yell, enter the first level alert state. We must guard against it at all costs and we must not let them come here. The news of the Samsara team's rebellion immediately spread to the entire Blizzard City's armed departments and the ears of major organizations. Ordinary people are not aware of the changes here. This is to stabilize people's hearts. For a time, the smell of gunpowder in the air of Blizzard City became stronger. Yanayan troops, defense forces, and private soldiers from several major forces all began to rush to the command center. They absolutely cannot tolerate Gao Changkang killing ZHU Zheng. Because once ZHU Zheng dies, it means that the order that the entire Blizzard City has worked so hard to establish will collapse. In addition to them, the Tengu team and Yan Yunwei led by Tu Yunli, who were hundreds of kilometers away, also received the news. Tu Yunli's eyes widened in anger. He had just finished dealing with a Jideo demon, but he and his elite men had also lost a lot of energy. What's more, the distance is far, and it would take several hours to get back even now. But he still said without hesitation, everyone gather and return to Blizzard City immediately to suppress the rebellion. Yan Yunwei's people quickly boarded the helicopter and rushed towards Blizzard City. After Zhang Yi heard the news, he just murmured to himself, did I really guess it? He had accidents, but not many. After the end of the world, he has seen too many things like human nature. Betrayal has become the norm. There is nothing surprising. Everyone is just trying to maximize their own interests. But he had to consider a problem. What impact did this incident have on him? After absorbing the essence of Phoenix inner, his power was restored, and he became even more powerful. but he could feel that there was still a boundary that had not been broken through. The members of the Tengu team at the scene were already anxious. What should I do? I didn't expect Gao Changkang and the others to rebel. Unexpectedly, I originally thought that only an ugly person like you would rebel, but I didn't expect that a guy like Gao Changkang with thick eyebrows and big eyes would also rebel. What did he do for it, and how much benefit did the Neon Man give him? Bailey Changking was physically and mentally exhausted at this time, and the number 5 compound left him with little strength to move. The once strong man was now as skinny as a mummy, with all his blood drained out. But he still dragged his body to Zhang Yi. Captain, let's go back. There can't be chaos in Blizzard City. If Blizzard City is in chaos, the entire Jiangnan region will be over. Zhang Yi looked at him deeply but said nothing. Because he didn't know what Gao Changkang wanted to do. What does the so-called rebellion mean? This is easy to analyze. Gao Changkang will not do meaningless things. With the strength of the Samsara team, they can do whatever they want in Blizzard City with empty defenses, but they will never destroy Blizzard City. The most it can do is kill someone. Will that person be Zhu Zheng? However, if Zhu Zheng dies, Zhang San, Li, Si Wang and Ermazi will still step forward. There is no shortage of capable people in Blizzard City. It can be said that there are elites everywhere. Chapter 763, heading towards the command center. Zhang Yi will not do meaningless things. If the reason for Gao Changkang's rebellion was just to kill someone and had nothing to do with his interests, he would not meddle in others' affairs. He also didn't believe that Zhu Zheng's death would cause complete chaos in the Jiangnan region. And from the bottom of his heart, Zhang Yi was not willing to collide with an investigation team that was in perfect condition at this time. Look at the people around him at this time. Eclipse and the Xianlang pirates had exhausted them all. Even if they go to support them, they won't be able to match them in terms of strength, even if they don't have enough time, right? Why is Gao Changkang making trouble? He asked this question doubtfully. With his status, colluding with Neon's Ronin is simply lowering himself. It is impossible for Neon to have the guts to plot the Jiangnan region. Otherwise, once confirmed, the Jiangnan region can be wiped out by the god of death. The huge gap in strength between the two countries is here, especially in terms of weapons. It's the end of the world, and the relationship between the major forces is no longer what it used to be, and it's easy for them to clash. Maybe it's really a personal grudge. Yang Xingxin suddenly reminded him. Zhang Yi looked at her curiously. After the two made eye contact, Zhang Yi thought of an answer in her clear eyes. Zhu Zheng hurt him. Yang Xingxin smiled and said, those are not important anymore. Brother, you have destroyed the Eclipse Moon, and also took care of the members of the Xianlang pirates. These achievements are enough to make you the hero of the entire Jiangnan region. And let them clean up the mess in Blizzard City themselves. After hearing the conversation between the two, Bailey Changking became a little anxious. Zhang Yi, you can't just sit back and watch this matter. If Zhu Shui is really killed by Gao Changkang and the others, the entire Jiangnan region will be in turmoil. Moreover, he took a deep breath, his breath already a little unsteady. The matter of Gao Changkang colluding with Neon Ronin is basically confirmed. Can you tolerate him doing such an inhumane thing? Cough, cough, cough. As Bailey Changking was talking, he suddenly covered his mouth and coughed violently, and scarlet blood gurgled down his fingers. Zhang Yi supported his body and frowned slightly. Of course I can't tolerate it. If possible, I would like to kill him with my own hands. Undisguised murderous intent flashed in his eyes. This time the game was set up by Gao Changkang. If he hadn't hidden his captain level strength, he would have died under the joint attack of Eclipse Moon and the Xianlang pirates. He hated Gao Changkang so much that he wanted to kill him immediately. But now that he's back in Blizzard City, he's not sure he can win against the assembled Samsara team. At this time, Yang Xingxin reminded Zhang Yi, brother, you seem to have forgotten something very important. Zhang Yi raised his head and looked at the cute girl in front of him. What else? Yang Xingxin turned her head and looked at the witch who was standing obediently not far behind her. The real core of Eclipse Moon is not Phoenix Inaren, but her. After Zhang Yi thought for a moment, he suddenly realized the meaning of Yang Xingxin's words. Mayumi Takuchi is not a fighting type alien, So Zhang Yi forgot how powerful her ability was for a while, and how delicious her origin is. It's even possible that she is a higher level alien than Phoenix Academy Ren. But isn't it a pity to kill her? Zhang Yi couldn't help but feel reluctant to let go when she thought of Takeuchi Mayumi's abilities. A Mako who can predict part of the future and give others the ability to predict is simply the top support. It's useless, brother. Yang Xingxin shook her head. I can only maintain the ability of the Desire Angel for 1 hour. She will regain her will after 1 hour. No one knows what will happen to her then. It's better. The corners of her mouth raised with a sickly taste. Swallow her. After she said this, she reached out and shot a black arrow at the weak Canute. Canute's eyes widened and he quickly killed himself. Brother, after you absorb their power, you can go back to Blizzard City. Compared with the unclear future, ZHU Zeng's existence is the most beneficial to us now. And once you successfully stop Gao Changkong, you will get more chips to talk to Blizzard City. Zhang Yi understood clearly. If ZHU Zeng dies, someone else may take over. But with a new commander-in-chief, no one can guarantee what his temperament will be. At least now, Zhang Yi and ZHU Shuai are getting along fairly harmoniously. And in terms of personal grudges, Gao Changkong wanted Zhang Yi to die, and Zhang Yi would not be so generous as to forget this hatred. Let me try. He glanced at the seriously injured Liang Yu and Bailey Changqing. Don't delay, each of you choose your own prey and absorb it. Next, Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes. Maybe there will be trouble waiting. The two were seriously injured, and Bailey Changqing even used compound number 5, which may be life-threatening. However, if you can absorb the origins of a Goku Nabutsu and Tsukamoto Nobunaga, you will definitely be cured. Those two guys are both deputy captains. Zhang Yi will not compete with them, because he has better ones. Zhang Yi sighed softly, walked up to Mayumi Takeuchi who was smiling, grabbed her neck, and squeezed her to death. Then he collected the bodies of Mayumi Takeuchi and Kanit, and began to absorb them. In Blizzard City, at the Combat Command Center, the killing began. Gao Changkong led the reincarnation team all the way up. Each floor of the 16-story high-rise building is heavily guarded, including many powerful strangers. Even the worst defenses are elite warriors armed with live ammunition and wearing black overall armor. But all this seemed so weak in front of Blizzard City's top-notch combat team, the Samsara team. Gao Changkong had an indifferent expression on his face, with his hands behind his back, and no intention of taking action. The one who took action was his vice captain, Ji Yushin. Ji Yushin, a strange person with special characteristics, and the ability codename, Ghost Blade. The information about his abilities is unknown, but it is known that he can summon a blue sword from the void, and this sword can easily cut through armored vehicles. Ji Yushin walked at the forefront of the team, heading towards the command room step by step. In the corridor in front of them, heavy footsteps sounded like an earthquake, and hundreds of soldiers completely blocked the corridor in front of them. The leader, Major Yan Yunwei, said through a cold mask, Samsara team, retreat immediately. No one is allowed to enter here without the commander's order. Ji Yushin held the 2-meter-long giant sword in both hands and said coldly, aren't you still clear about the current situation? As soon as he finished speaking, he rushed forward like lightning. Kill. Major Yan Yun waved his hand, and the soldiers behind him formed a battle formation. A huge anti-explosion shield was set up in front, and the soldiers behind him started firing. The bullets shot out like a rainstorm. The big sword in Ji Yushin's hand just slashed through the air, and the high-speed flying bullets were swept away like plastic. The explosion-proof shield made of alloy was directly cut into 2 pieces. Dozens of defense troops were killed in one move. Their broken bodies and scarlet blood soaked the entire corridor. Laugh. In the corridor, lasers turned into dense nets and enveloped the Samsara team. The big sword in Ji Yushin's hand was pointed at the wall, and he swung it quickly. The shadows of the sword were dense and green light and shadow passed through the air. The originally hard and thick wall was cut open like tofu, and the laser weapons inside were also completely destroyed. Chapter 764, Crush Your Defenses. In the command room, ZHU Zengduan was sitting on a chair, and the surveillance video of the Samsara team was playing on the screen. Groups of defense troops and Yan Yunwei charged at them, trying to stop them. However, the gap in strength is too obvious. Gao Changkang didn't even take action. Just a few strangers under him completely cleared all obstacles on the road. Hold on, hold them back. We must not let them come to the command room. Where are the reinforcement outside? Why haven't they arrived yet? Lan Xincheng gave orders loudly into the communicator. Cold sweat was already streaming down his forehead, and for the first time, he felt the danger of death. Even though it had been so long since the end of the world, as a top figure in Blizzard City, he never imagined that he would die. However, the reincarnation team approaching step by step gave him a sense of danger of death for the first time. In the communicator, the leaders of each unit responded, "We will be there soon. Commander, please rest assured, we will never allow traitors to harm the commander." On the Samsara team's side, Guman noticed reinforcement coming from the outside. The piercing siren sounded from far away and came near. She smiled slightly, raised her right hand, and snapped her fingers. Just when the support troops arrived near the building, they suddenly saw a huge black cube emerging around the entire building. The entire building was completely covered by the black cube. This is Samsara Team Guman's barrier. One of the leading officers looked anxious. Guman is a person who releases abilities, and his ability code is enchantment. As a top enchantment master, her enchantment ability is very terrifying. The barrier she has set up is also extremely difficult to break, unless it is an alien whose attack power is much stronger than hers. But now in the city, almost all strangers of this level have left. There was only one person left, and that was the guard beside ZHU Zheng, Sun Luxuan. But at this moment, Sun Luxuan must protect ZHU Zheng's safety at every step. Blast open this barrier for me. A large number of soldiers gathered from the outside began to think of ways to blast the barrier. A dense rain of bullets was fired at the black barrier, and even blasting was used. But the black barrier was as if it were made of diamonds, and it didn't move at all. The movement here plunged the entire Blizzard City into chaos. What is this sound? Is it a fight? Why are there the sounds of gunfire in Blizzard City? What on earth is going on? The people were terrified, but they could do nothing but hide in panic, silently praying that they would not be harmed. At the combat command center, Ji Yushin cleared the way with one man and one sword. No matter what kind of defenses or traps he had, he cleared them all. With the defense terrain map provided by Wu Zhengheng, they easily avoided many troubles and headed directly towards the command center, where ZHU Zheng was located. Stop, don't go any further. A stranger stood in front of them. He opened his right hand and laid 10 red barriers on the passage in one breath. Ji Yushin sneered, showing his white teeth. Then holding a big sword, he walked forward step by step with ease. Useless, useless, useless. Every time the sword goes down, the barrier will be easily smashed. The gap in strength is too great. The aliens responsible for defense here cannot stop the members of the Samsara team. Soon, he was killed by Ji Yushin in despair and panic. Gao Changkang looked at everything in front of him and murmured, "Killing is not my intention. If possible, I just want to take off ZHU Zheng's head, then reshape the order of Blizzard City. But throughout the ages, there has been no change without bloodshed. I will remember you, but now, you must die." There was a flash of sadness in his eyes, truly hurt by this civil war. But he moved forward equally resolutely. At the command center, all the staff were sweating profusely. ZHU Shui, they have arrived on this floor. How to defend? They are just technicians. If the reincarnation team comes to kill them, they can only wait to die. Lan Xincheng hurriedly ran to ZHU Zheng. "Shui ZHU, let's go quickly." ZHU Zheng said calmly, "Do you think we can really escape? Even if you get on a helicopter, you will be shot down by the Samsara team. Modern weapons and equipment are not as useful as imagined in the face of powerful aliens. What's more, the building at this time is already shrouded in Guman's barrier, and no one can escape." Sun Luxuan walked up to him slowly, bent down and said, "Shui ZHU, let me pass." ZHU Zheng nodded. "Well, go ahead." A smile appeared on Sun Luxuan's lips. "Speaking of which, I haven't used it for a long time. If this bone is kept inactive, it will get rusty easily." He didn't look tall, and he was even a little thin. But no one dares to underestimate this strong man. The fact that he can always be ZHU Zheng's personal guard speaks volumes. Sun Luxuan turned around and walked out of the command room. A white light flashed, and he closed the door of the command room with his backhand. At this time, the passage has become bloody. The last guard unit defending here had all been killed. Broken limbs and broken arms were everywhere, and thick scarlet blood stained the walls and ceiling. Ji Yushin held the huge sword in his hand, and his snow-white skin was covered with blood. He looked like an evil ghost coming out of hell. When they saw Sun Luxuan, everyone stopped. They knew Sun Luxuan. Gao Changkang looked at him with a smile. Even you have already mobilized. In other words, this is Zhu Zeng's last line of defense, right? Sun Luxuan looked at Gao Changkang coldly. Gao Changkang, I really didn't expect you to rebel. The consequences of your doing this will only be your own destruction. Don't you understand such a simple truth? Betraying Jiangnan region means betraying Huaxu Kingdom. Then the only consequence will be death. Hearing this, Gao Changkang raised the corners of his mouth slightly. He asked jokingly, when will you guys, who are so superior and treat ordinary people's life and death as nothing, be able to represent everyone? It's useless to talk more. Today, you rebels will all die here. Sun Luxuan's hands naturally dropped, and the light in the space behind him suddenly became distorted. Extreme darkness enveloped everything behind him. From his sleeves, 2 black smoke clouds spurted out and filled the air behind him. When you look carefully, you will find that it is not smoke, but countless black filaments, exuding a faint light, and there is a kind of enchanting terror. P.S. I was surprised when I saw yesterday's gift proceeds today. I didn't expect that so many friends would suddenly give gifts. Although most of them are free to generate electricity for love, Tomato can watch a short video and give out the small gift of power for love for free. But the little things add up to a lot, which makes me very touched. Thank you all here. In addition, a reader mentioned before that the author needs to crowdfund for more updates. So I thought, can everyone read more chapters without spending too much money, and I can also earn more money for gifts. So I decided here that every time the gift value increases by 4,000, roughly equivalent to 20,000 people generating electricity for love, it is definitely enough for everyone to click on it. After reading it every day, I will update one more chapter. Recently, this book has some rhythms with the author himself. I originally didn't want to pay attention to it, but some new readers may be misled if they don't know the truth, so I will explain it here. First of all, the author has never scolded fans on live broadcast. He only scolded the black fans who came to insult me first. People directly attacked me personally and scolded my parents. I couldn't help but retaliate, right? Secondly, the author never said that the reader is my grandson. I have been live broadcasting for a long time, and everyone who watches my live broadcast knows what my personal quality is. I'm speechless when someone messes with the rhythm like this, just like Guo Degan said, the person who wronged you knows better than you how wronged you are. I have been splashed with dirty water and can't clean it off, no matter how hard I wash it off. Sometimes I feel helpless. If I explain it, I will be quibbling, but if I don't explain it, I will acquiesce. All I can say here is that if I hadn't retorted after being scolded and took the initiative to troll fans, I would have died badly. Thank you all for your support. Thank you. There are too many words, so I can only post them at the end of the text. I'm very sorry for affecting everyone's reading and listening. CAC. Chapter 765. Go and kill Gao Changkang. Facing Zhu Zeng's personal guards, Gao Changkang did not dare to be careless. But he had no intention of taking action. Instead, the deputy captain beside him, Ji Yushin, stepped forward. Mr. Sun, let me learn your skills. Sun Luxuan frowned and said coldly, you? Haha, no matter how bad I am, I'm not a vice captain who can mess with me. Are you trying to use your own life to delay me? Gao Changkang walked forward with a smile and put a hand on Ji Yushin's shoulder. Mr. Sun, don't underestimate him. It's possible that he will give you some surprises. You should know that my ability is, death is reincarnation. So I can use my ability again and again to perform deductions during reincarnation. Gao Changkang asked with a smile. Guess how long I have been preparing for today? There was a cautious look in Sun Luxuan's eyes. What do you want to say? Gao Changkang continued, of course I know that there is a person like you besides ZHU Zheng. So I have deduced and fought you again and again. I have already figured out your abilities. He looked at Ji Yushin beside him with some pride. And he is the one I prepared specifically for you. Sun Luxuan's heart suddenly sank. Of course he knew what Gao Changkang was capable of. If such a person spends a huge amount of time and energy planning something, no one can guard against it. Because he can have countless chances to fail and then start over. But his opponent only had one chance point. If you lose, you are really dead. You don't really think you can beat me with this, do you? Sun Luxuan was not disturbed by Gao Changkang. As a top strong person, determination is the most basic ethics. There's no need to beat you. I just need to hold you back. Gao Changkang said with a smile. But Ji Yushin had already dragged his huge long sword and rushed towards Sun Luxuan quickly. The black threads in Sun Luxuan's hands became more and more violent. Come on, I want to see if you have the ability to hold me back. Ji Yushin slashed down with his sword, and a dazzling green light erupted across the entire floor. After a few seconds, the green light disappeared from the place. But both Yu Shen and Sun Luxuan, who were offering sacrifices, disappeared. Sun Luxuan suddenly felt that the space around him had changed. This is a green space, surrounded by green and invisible objects. Only he and Ji Yushin were in this space. Ji Yushin raised the giant sword in his hand and aimed it at Sun Luxuan's head. I named this ability Solo. Isn't it cool? You can't escape this space until you kill me. So, don't bother the captain to kill ZHU Zheng. The expression on Sun Luxuan's face instantly became like a ferocious ghost. He stopped talking nonsense and shot the black thread towards Ji Yushin. It's useless, old man. Ji Yushin laughed and waved the giant sword in his hand quickly, flicking away the thousands of black threads. The captain said that among the hundreds of reincarnations he simulated, my best result was just a tie with you. But you have to win, and as long as I don't lose, this battle is over. Sun Luxuan roared, then I will kill you first, and then Gao Changkang. The black silk threads in his hands were very tough, and they were sharp blades that could kill people and excite souls. Soon, the dense threads spread all over the space around Ji Yushin. Under the blockade of this kind of dragnet, no one can escape the attack of the infinite line blade. But Yu Shen suppressed the smile on his face and said coldly, by the way, let me tell you, my strength is also captain level. Zhang Yi once had a guess. If a person can really trigger reincarnation infinitely, then the time and experience he has will be far ahead of everyone else. In this case, even if he is a waste, he will become a strong man in the long years. Gao Changkang can not only do it by himself, he can also help those around him do the same. Ji Yushin is the piece of jade he discovered. Now he is nominally the vice captain, but he already has a combat power that is not weaker than the captain level. The Samsara team has a total of 2 captain level combat capabilities. This is what gives them the courage to show their sword to the top management of Blizzard City. Sun Luxuan was dragged into the solo field by Yu Shen, and it is impossible to appear in a short time. Gao Changkang walked to the door of the command room, the corners of his mouth raised slightly, and there was a hint of excitement in his heart. Then he put his hand on the door. The tightly closed metal door was pushed open by him effortless. Everyone inside looked at him with complicated expressions. The staff here are many fans of Gao Changkang. They didn't know how to face this former hero and today's traitor. Lan Xincheng stood in front of ZHU Zheng. Gao Changkang, are you really going to do something treacherous? Do you know the consequences of doing so? Gao Changkang ignored Lan Xincheng. He just looked at the staff in the command center, raised the corners of his mouth, and showed his usual smile. Get off work. Everyone looked at each other, wondering what Gao Changkang meant by his words. They looked at each other, but their eyes finally fell on ZHU Zheng. At this time, ZHU was their backbone and Gao Changkang's target. Gao Changkang continued, I'm here to see ZHU Zheng. Others have nothing to do with it. You can leave now, otherwise, you may be accidentally injured. Lan Xincheng heard this and angrily shouted, don't demagogue people here. None of us will give in to you, a traitor. If you want to touch ZHU Shui, you have to get through us first. As he spoke, he shouted to everyone, come with me to protect ZHU Shui. When everyone in the office heard this, few people actually rushed forward. Are you kidding? Most of them are civil servants, so how can they have any combat effectiveness? Rushing forward can only lead to death. Seeing that Gao Changkang would not kill them, they naturally wanted to save their lives. However, a few people did rush in front of ZHU Zheng, wanting to give it a try and turn their bicycles into motorcycles. Although this is very dangerous, once they successfully survive, they will have the opportunity to be reused by ZHU Zheng in the future. Lan Xincheng stared at a guard in black and said to him, "Go and kill Gao Changkang." The guard in black looked at him in disbelief. Me." Lan Xincheng was furious, picked up his collar, stared at him, and asked word for word, "Aren't you willing to die for our great commander?" The guard in black was sweating coldly. He didn't know how to answer this question, but he didn't have the courage to really challenge Gao Changkang. ZHU Zheng's eyes were always on Gao Changkang. "Gao Changkang, answer me, why did you betray me? Why did you conspire with those damn Neon Ronin to deal with our own people?" ZHU Zheng's voice became louder and louder, and finally sounded like a scolding. He could accept Gao Changkang's rebellion, but joining forces with foreign races was something he would never tolerate. Gao Changkang smiled contemptuously. "Ronin? They are just my tools. Even if Deng Shentang is killed and Zhang Yi is defeated, I will kill them with my own hands in the end. It's just a little unexpected, but it won't affect the final result." Chapter 766 Righteousness and Hypocrisy. In Gao Changkang's original plan, Deng Shentang had to die. Deng Shentang died, but he naturally took over the task of conquering Eclipse. In this way, he can become the most prestigious person in Blizzard City. Then he can get closer and closer to the core of power. In the end, all he needs to do is create an accident and kill ZHU Zheng, and he can become the new commander-in-chief of Blizzard City. He can use his own way to create a brand new Blizzard City. Unfortunately, Zhang Yi did not die, but succeeded in killing Eclipse Moon. Then, if Gao Changkang's plan A fails, he can only implement plan B, taking advantage of the emptiness inside Blizzard City. Kill ZHU Zheng directly. ZHU Zheng stared at Gao Changkang coldly. "You were planning everything from the beginning, right? You are the spy in Blizzard City. It was precisely because you revealed the information about our actions that the Celestial Team's encirclement and suppression operation failed. Even when Zhang Yi was ambushed by Eclipse Moon and the Cheyenne Lang pirates, it was all your fault." Gao Changkang said in a brisk tone. Well, as expected of ZHU Shui, he reacted so quickly. "However, you woke up a little late." His eyes fell on the others. "What, do you want them to stay here and be buried with you? I don't like killing innocent people indiscriminately. They are all very good talents. Jiangnan region will still need them in the future. The only person I want to kill is you." So, he looked at the others. "Are you really going to die with ZHU Zheng?" Gao Changkang's eyes had a questioning tone, and the corners of his mouth raised a gentle smile. But no one would doubt that he was joking when he said he wanted to kill everyone. The atmosphere in the office was already a little weird, and some employees even started to tremble. In the face of life and death, some employees finally couldn't bear it anymore. A woman cried and shouted, "I want to leave. I want to get off work." Gao Changkang stepped out of the way in a very gentlemanly manner. "You can leave now." The woman did not dare to look back at ZHU Zheng and Lan Xincheng, and ran out crying. With her taking the lead, the others were also dominated by the desire to survive, and rushed out the door. ZHU Zheng closed his eyes, and waved to a few hesitant subordinates around him. "You all should leave. Their target is me." Several people were relieved. After receiving ZHU Zheng's order, they whispered, "Take care, Commander ZHU," and then followed the others out of the office. In the end, only Lan Xincheng remained by ZHU Zheng's side. Maybe it's because he doesn't want to escape, but more importantly, it was because he and ZHU Zheng were already bound. As ZHU Zheng's secretary, once ZHU Zheng dies, he will lose everything in Blizzard City while he is still alive. When the time comes, when a new commander-in-chief takes office, he will still be treated as a deserter. Instead of dying miserably at that time, it is better to fight now. Gao Changkang looked at ZHU Zheng, who was sitting on the chair and facing him. "Now, let me give you a ride." ZHU Zheng, Commander-in-Chief. Zhu Zeng looked at Gao Changkang. His face was stern, and he asked in a deep voice, "Can I ask, what is the reason for your rebellion? In what way did Jiangnan region feel sorry for you? Here, you have everything, and you are respected by thousands of people. But if you betray us, what can you gain?" The curvature of the corners of Gao Changkang's mouth became wider and wider. Ha 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 ha. He suddenly laughed. Zhu Zeng, don't you know why I want to kill you until now? I see, it's true. In your eyes, for a little person like me, everything is insignificant and insignificant. He laughed and his eyes became cold. I just want to remind you. After the end of the world, my parents also died because of the regulations you promulgated. They are all over 60 years old. They have no ability to survive in the apocalypse. It was your order that caused them to be driven out of Blizzard City. From that time on, I have been thinking about killing you and the Blizzard City executives who made the laws with you all the time. After listening to Gao Changkang's words, Zhu Zeng closed his eyes helplessly. So it's because of this. But under the circumstances at that time, doing that was an inevitable choice. We don't have the ability to feed so many people. The entire Jinling population originally had 1,500 million permanent residents. As the disaster spread, residents from surrounding cities also began to gather in Blizzard City. Everyone hopes to bring their family and friends to this doomsday fortress and let them survive. If we don't take measures and only allow those who can provide higher value to survive, then the final result will be that everyone dies together. Zhu Zeng's tone became firm. So, your parents are the same. After listening to Zhu Zeng's explanation, Gao Changkang clapped his hands. That's a good explanation. He deserves to be Commander-in-Chief. Zhu Zeng's heng. He is really fair and honest, which is admirable. If you really do it like this, then maybe I can understand it in my heart. But you didn't. A sarcastic look flashed across the corner of Gao Changkang's mouth. Do you dare to say that you have the same standards for everyone? You are almost 60 years old this year, and you are not a stranger. If you were not sitting in this seat, you would not even be able to do much strenuous work. You still support your wife and son at home, and they don't have to participate in labor. There are also many high-level officials in Blizzard City. Are they the same as other ordinary people? What value do they provide so that they and their families can live a pampered life in Blizzard City? Gao Changkang's voice also increased by several decibels. Those tall walls in Blizzard City from Area S to Area E are natural barriers between classes. You didn't treat everyone fairly from the beginning. In your eyes, those of us from Area E are inferior people. And now, my personal Commander-in-Chief Zhu Zeng, you are on the verge of death, yet you are sitting here and keep saying, fairness, to me. Don't you think it's very ridiculous? Gao Changkang looked down at Zhu Zeng from a high position. He smiled wildly and mocked Zhu Zeng. He spoke the words he had been holding back for half a year, pouring out the hatred and unwillingness he had accumulated for a long time. At this moment, his heart was filled with joy. Finally, he no longer needs to hold his tail between his legs. Zhu Zeng was speechless by Gao Changkang. After a long time, he slowly said, there are some things you should understand. If the water is clear, there will be no fish. Absolute fairness itself is difficult to achieve. He needs the support of some organizations in Blizzard City, so he must give them special privileges. Gao Changkang took a deep breath. After saying what he had been suppressing in his heart for a long time, he felt much more relaxed. No one is born superior. It's like right now, your life is in my hands. He had vented his inner emotions, and now Zhu Zeng could die. Chapter 767 Return of the Mourners. Gao Changkang raised his palm and pointed it at Zhu Zeng's head. What he wanted to do at this moment was as sacred as killing a god. Cutting off this false god, he will change this world full of lies and deceit according to his own wishes. Kill Zhu Zeng first, and then wipe out the entire top management of Blizzard City. That is, those people who occupied high positions before the end of the world. Only by tearing everything down and starting over can the order of this world be reshaped. This is the greatest significance of the arrival of the end of the world. But just when Gao Changkang was about to take action, a familiar voice came to his ears. Gao Changkang, you made a mistake. In the shadows of the command room, light flickered, and the dazzling white light made everyone lose their sight. A white light turned into a door and slowly opened, and a tall and handsome man wearing a silver combat uniform and long silver hair slowly walked out of the light door. Deng Shentong, who was supposed to die in Jiangning City, miraculously appeared between Zhu Zeng and Gao Changkang. Not only him, but behind him, a dozen powerful aliens wearing silver armor also came out one by one, and stood behind him. Among them was Bei Chunyu, the deputy captain of the God team. The other dozens of strangers were all covered in special armor, and their faces could not be seen clearly. Just from the powerful aura emanating from them, you can feel that the strength of these people is definitely not weaker than the members of the investigation team. Gao Changkang narrowed his eyes when he saw Deng Shentong suddenly appearing on the scene. Deng Shentong, long time no see. You are still alive. The appearance of Deng Shentong surprised Lan Xincheng. However, he found that Zhu Zeng's expression was indifferent, and he had obviously known about this matter for a long time. He secretly breathed a sigh of relief, feeling quite relaxed inside. It turns out that Zhu surely has been prepared for it. It seems that even I was kept in the dark about the whole thing. How did Lan Xincheng know that all this was planned by Zhu Zeng and Deng Yuanbo? After the failure of the second siege, they had confirmed that there was an undercover agent of Eclipse in Blizzard City. If this problem is not resolved, not only will they face pressure from the outside world, but they may also suffer internal chaos. Therefore, the two conspired and made a plan. The emptiness that appears in Blizzard City today was also deliberately created by Zhu Zeng. The purpose is to let the rebels jump out on their own. Zhu Zeng sat calmly on the chair and looked at Gao Changkang with a little regret. What a pity. Why are you the one who rebelled? It is too difficult to train a captain level alien. This is related to talent. Even if there are sufficient resources, it will be difficult to cultivate it if a suitable carrier cannot be found. Gao Changkang's rebellion will be a huge loss to Blizzard City, regardless of whether he wins or loses this battle. The matter has come to this, so there is no need to say more. Gao Changkang said calmly. Deng Shentong looked at Gao Changkang in front of him. I have wanted to fight you for a long time. Last time, you used the eclipse to plot against me. This time, you didn't expect me to come back to life, did you? This time, it's my turn to kill you. Gao Changkang smiled. He asked, Deng Shentong, do you still remember what my ability is? Deng Shentong narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, death is reincarnation, but this is false. You did not report your abilities to the organization truthfully. You concealed your true abilities. The idea of being reborn after death is all false. No one can play with the cycle of life and death so easily. You can't do it. Not even a high level Epsilon can do it. Because what is being reversed is not one's own time and space, but the time and space of the entire universe. This is the domain of gods, not humans. So you deceived everyone. I don't believe that you can be reborn after being killed by me. I have studied you, including all your mission information. I think I already know what your true abilities are. Deng Shentong smiled brightly, like a flower in bloom. Actually, your ability should be deduction, right? You can use all the information you know to deduce what will happen. This looks very similar to reincarnation, but it is not a real experience. The deduced results will also deviate from reality and may not be completely consistent. The smile on the corner of Deng Shentong's mouth deepened. He adjusted his white gloves. There was a gorgeous golden coat of arms on the back of the gloves, which looked elegant and luxurious. It's just today. Have you ever deduced me as a dead person? Gao Changkang sighed softly. I didn't expect that you have seen through my ability. You are right. I cannot reverse life and death. But, his smile became deeper, and he looked at Deng Shentong with a smile. I can still see reincarnation. And I saw your existence at the end of reincarnation. He slowly opened his eyes, and a pure killing intent emerged. Today, you have a look of death on your face. Deng Shentong smiled faintly, and he reached out from his waist, and pulled out a saber made of adamant metal. You want to kill me? Can you do it? Among the 6 investigation teams, you are the only one who is not a pure martial artist. You don't really think you can beat me, do you? Gao Changkang of the Samsara team, his true ability, reincarnation deduction. He can deduce all the future, that is about to happen, based on all the known information. The premise is that it must be centered on someone. Today, the target of his deduction is Zhu Zeng, because the person he wants to kill is Zhu Zeng. But Deng Shentong, who suddenly appeared and returned from resurrection, was not within the scope of his deduction. In this way, Gao Changkong's ability will lose its effect. Without the advantage of this ability, his own combat effectiveness may only be at the level of deputy captain. Deng Shentong had a smile on his face. His expression was a bit arrogant, but his eyes were extremely focused. In half an hour at most, Tu Yunli and Zhang Yi will be back. It would be best if I could kill you rebels within this half hour. Even if I can't, I can delay the time until they return. No matter what the result is, your defeat is determined. Gao Changkong sighed softly. Didn't you understand what I meant? Your appearance is also within my prediction. His words shocked Deng Shentong's heart slightly. What do you mean by this sentence? Gao Changkong looked at him and said, I never thought that you would be killed by someone like Ronin. He spread his hands. Your appearance today was also within my prediction. Deng Shentong said in surprise, you know that I'm still alive, so how dare you? Because I don't care. Gao Changkong interrupted him directly. He suddenly smiled and said, Deng Shentong, I also want to ask you a question. If I had planned my revenge on the entire Blizzard City hierarchy from the beginning, do you think I will reveal my true strength? Also a friendly reminder, my ability can't be used only once a day. Chapter 768 New Energy Awakening. Deng Shentong was shocked. What does Gao Changkong mean by this sentence? Does he know he is still alive? In other words, was he expected to appear today with a brand new team of gods? Also, what he means by hidden strength is. Gao Changkong didn't leave Deng Shentong any time to think. A moment later, he heard a low and familiar voice in his ears. Martial arts arena, open. The surrounding space was rapidly stretched, and only Gao Changkong remained in front of Deng Shentong's eyes. But they were no longer in the command room, but appeared in a dark space. This is the martial arts field. Deng Shentong's face was full of astonishment, and he immediately realized that the ability holders in the martial arts field had also joined the rebellion of the Samsara team. Soon after, Deng Shentong's body acted one step ahead of his mind. The Great Sumeru illusion has been opened. He manipulates the light and begins to create illusions that affect the five senses. But Gao Changkong said calmly, I have fought with you many times in my reincarnation. I have already figured out your abilities. He tapped his temple, and a dark futuristic eye patch was placed on his head. As long as the light is blocked, it will not be affected by your ability. That's easy to do, isn't it? Actually, you see, no matter how powerful the alien is, it is still easy to crack, as long as there is enough intelligence and enough time to prepare. Deng Shentong waved his left arm, and the silver cloak behind him automatically moved without wind. So what? This is not the only kind of ability I have. Silver holy light enveloped his whole body. The ability of Holy Body Blessing can make him a top melee master. He is also proficient in swordsmanship. Gao Changkong raised the corners of his mouth. But I also said that at the end of reincarnation, I have already seen your death. Actually, it is not easy to hide one's true strength in front of countless pairs of eyes in Blizzard City. When it comes to this, I even admire that stranger from the outer city. Gao Changkong's eyes turned cold. Today, I will let you clearly see my true strength. He stood in the dark space and couldn't see anything with his eyes, but his other five senses were strengthened on a deeper level. All this was prepared for Deng Shentong. In the cycle of reincarnation, he didn't know how many times he tried, and he didn't know how many times he failed. But now, his other senses can perfectly replace his eyes. As Gao Changkong's voice fell, strange talismans emerged from the void behind him. It was a blue talisman, which appeared like patterns in the void, then entwined and condensed with each other, and finally turned into huge patterns. The characters are imprinted in the void, and appear in the form of stones in the void. Pieces of gravel were slowly and regularly combined, eventually forming a huge wheel behind him. And the 6 characters transformed into the runes are clearly the Buddhist seal in Sanskrit. Skydance treasure wheel. Gao Changkong's hands formed seals, corresponding to the 6 Buddhist seals on the Cheyenne Wu Baolan behind him. Do not move Ming Wang seal. the mark of King Ming appeared, and a layer of thick and simple armor quickly formed on his body. Gao Changkong's handprint changed again. Sun Wheel Seal. The Cheyenne Wu Baolan seal lit up, and a huge sword exuded holy light condensed in his hand. The sacred weapon, the Sun Sword. And his last seal was to fold his hands. Zen meditation seal. In an instant, his eyes changed. Gu Jing Wubo was looking in the direction of Deng Shentong, but it was as if he was looking through him at the eternal river of time and space. After a moment, the stars in his eyes dispersed. Deng Shentong, I have deduced your future. Deng Shentong was shocked by the sight in front of him. Cheyenne Wu Baolan, this ability has never been recorded in Blizzard City. In other words, in Blizzard City, during the process of performing his mission, this ability was well hidden by him. However, this did not make Deng Shentong feel scared. Instead, it made him raise the corners of his mouth, and the excitement in his heart became stronger. Then let us fight. His body shone with the power of light and praise, making him like a god in the dust. He turned into a ray of light and struck Gao Changkong with his sword. Cheyenne City. Zhang Yi finally absorbed the power of Canid and Mayumi Takuchi. As a vice captain, Canid's abilities can be improved for Zhang Yi, but they are not too effective. But what Zhang Yi didn't expect was that Takuchi Mayumi's power actually brought him miraculous results. Her ability is so rare, a time-based ability, that is rare among millions of people. After absorbing her origin, a power that had been hidden for a long time began to slowly awaken inside Zhang Yi's body. He felt that his body was full of inexplicable power. When he opened his eyes and looked at the world again, everything became strange and bizarre. From this day on, what his eyes saw would never be the same as before. The others looked at Zhang Yi with anticipation and awe. At this moment, everyone sincerely admires the captain of the Tengu team. Zhang Yi took a deep breath and said to Yang Xingxin, Liang Yu and others, you guys have a good rest here, and let Zhao Keda help you treat your injuries. I'll be right back. Wu Di said, then I will have the helicopter come over immediately and take you back. Zhang Yi shook his head. The speed of the helicopter is too slow. By the time I get back, the seats may have already been opened. Everyone was a little helpless. Gao Changkong's purpose was to divert them away, and no one had any better way. Captain, what are you going to do? We don't have any faster transportation than a helicopter. Wu Di said helplessly. Zhang Yi said calmly, I have a better one. After he finished speaking, he took a step forward. The next moment, he appeared thousands of meters away. His figure was like flickering in the void, disappearing in front of everyone in an instant. This scene left everyone stunned. Zhang Yi's so-called good method turned out to be to use manual methods to hurry. But for Zhang Yi, who has the ability to travel through space, doing so is indeed faster. Captain has become stronger. Bailey Changking sighed. I remember that at the beginning, his space travel could not reach such a long distance. Wu Di also nodded. So I'm the captain. Although everyone is worried about things in Blizzard City, they are all seriously injured and can't help much at the moment. Fortunately, the local forces in Cheyenne City came and sent them to Zhang Yi's shelter. With Zhao Keda here, as long as they can get there alive, even those with missing arms or legs can be treated. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 769. Blizzard City. The combat command center was shrouded in a huge black barrier. Tens of thousands of troops gathered outside, with loud gunfire, but no one could break into it. Since ZHU was inside, they used drat weapons, and could not use too powerful explosive methods to attack. At this time, outside the command room, the Samsara team and the New God team were engaged in an extremely brutal fight. The 4 captain level characters all chose to fight on other battlefields. This was actually to protect the team members. Otherwise, if they really fight in such a small space, everyone will be killed by the aftermath of the battle. But everyone knew that the key to deciding the winner was still the 4 captains. Solo in the realm, the battle between Yushen and Sun Luxuan was very bloody. What Sun Luxuan practiced were all killing skills, nothing flashy. In addition, he was eager to leave this field to protect Zhu Zheng, so his moves were fatal. However, all his moves were already familiar to Ji Yushin. For today's action, Gao Changkang considered all possibilities. Countless deductions were made, and every detail was clearly considered by them. This battle to commemorate Yu Shen and Sun Luxuan has also been experienced countless times. Gao Changkang testified for him time and time again, even breaking apart every move of Sun Luxuan's, and crumbling it into pieces, and feeding it to Yu Shen's mouth. In the end, after the second deduction of number 80, the result was a tie between the two sides. So today, the goal of commemorating Yu Shen is simple. He didn't expect to be able to kill Sun Luxuan, but from the beginning his playing style was mainly defensive. But on another battlefield, the duel between Deng Shentang and Gao Changkang was much more terrifying. After no longer hiding his strength, Gao Changkang showed his powerful killing power. The precious phantom of Cheyenne Wu Baolan gives him powerful combat power. The Fudo Myo armor is mainly for defense, and the Nichiren sword is mainly for killing. Tall and mighty, he was like a Buddhist protector, and he fought fiercely with Deng Shentang. As a son of a wealthy family, Deng Shentang has been practicing swordsmanship since he was a child. It's just that he practices Western foil. The slender sword body and the sharp tip never leave the center line of Gao Changkang's body. The collision between the foil sword and the sun sword kept emitting dazzling light in this void space. The more Deng Shentang fought, the more frightened he became. The moment his move was launched, Gao Changkang seemed to have anticipated it, and could easily block it. I said, I have seen your death at the end of reincarnation. You have no chance of defeating me, Deng Shentang. There was a faint smile on the corner of Gao Changkang's mouth, a confident smile. Fearless lion mark. He formed another seal with one hand. The mark on the corner of the Cheyenne Wu Baolan behind him lit up. From the middle of the huge treasure wheel, a three-headed lion emerged and roared at Deng Shentang. The space trembled, and that roar made Deng Shentang feel that his internal organs were trembling. Puff. He couldn't help it, and a stream of blood spurted out from the corner of his mouth. At this time, Deng Shentang could not believe that he was being suppressed and beaten by Gao Changkang in the combat field. He was proud of his close combat ability and his fake death, which he thought was exquisite, but it turned out that Gao Changkang could clearly see it. How many times can you use your deduction ability? Deng Shentang lowered his voice and asked. Gao Changkang smiled and said, anyway, more than once. Do you want to know? The index finger of his left hand pointed at Gao Changkang. Just try it with your life and you will know. The meditation seal is activated again. The trajectory of the future will continue to deviate, and Gao Changkang is like a tinker, constantly mending it. But as long as he can get enough intelligence for deduction, he will always be the winner. Now kill Deng Shentang first, and then Zhu Zheng, and then they can easily escape from Blizzard City. Zhang Yi and Tu Yunli were not here, nor were the other captains. No one in Blizzard City could stop them. At this moment, Zhang Yi arrived. He saw the huge crystal coffin-like barrier, but he didn't act in a hurry. In the communicator, he was still communicating with Zhu Zheng. Zhu Shui, how is the situation at the scene? I'm trying my best to get back. Don't worry, I will do my best to rescue you. Zhang Yi's tone was full of anxiety, but his eyes were calmly looking at the headquarters building. The icing on the cake is not as good as giving charcoal in the snow. If he wants to take action, he has to take action at the most critical moment. If you want to sell a favor, you naturally have to sell it to a big one, so as to maximize your own interests. Zhu Zheng felt a little excited after hearing Zhang Yi's words. Can you come back? Although I'm injured now, for the future of Zhu Shui and the entire Jiangnan region, I have to stop Gao Changkang at the risk of my life. Zhang Yi said it with all his heart. Zhu Zheng was a little moved in his heart. Even after Zhang Yi was beaten like that in Qianhe City, he still didn't forget to come back to save him. It seems that he still had too much prejudice against Zhang Yi before. Gao Changkang is fighting Deng Shentang, and my guards were held back by Ji Yushin. The situation is very chaotic now. The people from the Samsara team want to kill me, and the people from the Deng family are protecting me. Zhang Yi, you have to come back as soon as possible. We need strong support. ZHU Zhang also knew that only the emergence of captain level combat power could change the current crisis. Zhang Yi nodded vigorously. Don't worry, I'm already moving forward at full speed. Don't hang up the call. I need to know the situation at the scene at all times. Please remember. ZHU Zhang didn't know what Zhang Yi meant, but now he needed Zhang Yi, so he nodded and agreed. Zhang Yi was sitting not far from the command center building, munching on supernatural food, while listening to the killing sounds coming from the headphones. He thought of a method of replenishing the pot that he mentioned when he was studying. The owner's pot is leaking at the bottom, and the tinker is asked to come and repair it. While scraping away the soot from the bottom of the pot, the tinker secretly knocked on the pot a few more times without the owner paying attention, making the cracks bigger. He turned back and pointed at the crack and said to the owner, "Your pot has a big crack. Fortunately, I found it for you, otherwise it would break again in the future." The owner was very happy and thought that the tinker had been a great help and paid more money. In the end, the master is happy and so is the tinker. At this time, Zhang Yi was like the tinker. He was waiting for the cracks in the bottom of the pot to get bigger. Ji Yushan held back Sun Luxun, and the outcome of the battle between the two could not be determined in a short period of time. But on the side of Deng Shentang and Gao Changkong, the situation became increasingly unfavorable to Deng Shentang. Gao Changkong is more powerful than he imagined. The ability of Xian Wu Baolan, using only 4 kinds of seals, was completely overwhelming for Deng Shentang. Gao Changkong pointed at him coldly with the Sun Sword. "The reason why you became the investigation captain, and why you are praised by all the stars is just because you are the young master of the Deng family." Chapter 770 Savior. Deng Shentang's self-esteem was mercilessly stepped on the ground and crushed. He vomited blood from his mouth and was knocked out of the martial arts arena by Gao Changkong, falling heavily in front of ZHU Zhang. The members of the two investigation teams stopped at the same time. The members of the Samsara team were smiling and seemed not to be surprised at the results in front of them. But the people on ZHU Zhang's side fell into deep fear. They were confident before because they knew Deng Shentang was behind it. But unexpectedly, Deng Shentang was defeated by Gao Changkong. If he had been defeated by Phoenix Inner before, he could have covered it up by saying he was betrayed by a traitor. But the loss to Gao Changkong was due to actual force. ZHU Zhang's voice couldn't help but tremble. Even if he is an iron-blooded soldier, a man of his age cannot ignore the threat of life and death. "Since you have such strength, why didn't you let us know earlier? In that case, I will definitely train you well, and maybe you will become the next commander-in-chief." ZHU Zhang tried to appease Gao Changkong in this way. Gao Changkong sneered, "Oh, can you? It's not that I didn't give you a chance. In fact, I arranged this attack on Eclipse Moon myself. As long as you give me the opportunity to be the protagonist of the incident, I can wait a little longer." He sighed and shook his head with regret. "But in your eyes, power is greater than anything else. You would rather let an outsider who doesn't know his strength take the lead than give me a chance. I have given up all illusions about you." Gao Changkong carried the Sun Sword and walked towards ZHU Zhang step by step. Deng Shentang stood up with difficulty, and none of the members of the new god team behind him flinched. "It seems that this time, I really have to fight hard." Gao Changkong mocked, "Are you planning to use drugs? But you should know that your potential has been enhanced to the extreme by the technology and ruthless work of Deng's technology. Even if you use drugs, your strength will not be improved much. It will only hasten your death." Deng Shentang smiled with his mouth full of blood. "You have to try it before you know." He calmly took compound number 5 to himself. After a moment, a more powerful force burst out from his body. Deng Shentang raised the foil sword in his hand and pointed it at Gao Changkong in front of him. An unparalleled terrifying power was released from the tip of the sword and reached Gao Changkong instantly. Gao Changkong's left hand has already formed a seal. The 5th seal of Xian Wu Baolan lit up, and a huge vase condensed and formed in front of Gao Changkong. The mouth of the bottle was pointed at Deng Shentang, and all the terrifying power was absorbed into the bottle. Deng Shentang gritted his teeth and roared angrily as he continued to output. A crack appeared on the body of the treasure vase with a click sound. Gao Changkong's expression couldn't help but change. Even if he could deduce all the attack methods and methods of Deng Shentong, when a captain starts to fight for his life, he would not be able to deal with it calmly. "Do not move, Ming Wang," Gao Changkang shouted, and a huge shadow of Fu Doming Wang appeared behind him, with his arms spread out, to protect him firmly in the center of his embrace. The vase couldn't withstand the power of Deng's supernatural power and exploded, with terrifying energy spilling out. The entire floor of the building was stirred by this energy. The bulletproof glass covering the outside of the floor shattered, and was rushed outside by the shockwave. Even many of the buildings inside the building were destroyed. In this way, the field of vision is clear, and all the scenes can be seen by Zhang Yi in the distance. He saw Gao Changkang take a dozen steps back, blood spilling from his mouth. Deng Shentong's eyes were wide open with anger, his eyes were bloodshot, and he vomited a pool of blood. His condition was not very good at this time. The two captains fought a lose-lose battle. Zhang Yi slowly stood up. "It's time for me to appear." The hero in the story always appears again at the most critical moment, turning the tide from falling and holding the building back from falling. Holding the Holy Inquisition in his right hand, he took one step forward and instantly arrived outside the command center building. Just like that, he was floating quietly in midair. A massive black dark matter enveloped the holy seal in his hand, like a burning fire of darkness. Zhang Yi suddenly appeared on the battlefield, and attracted everyone's attention. Someone recognized the captain's mark unique to the Tengu squad on him. "It's the captain of the Tengu team Chaos. He's arrived. Great. The commander-in-chief is saved." The faces of many soldiers below showed excitement and relief. Almost everyone looked up to Zhang Yi, as if looking up to the star of hope. But there are also people with downcast eyes and gloomy expressions. Zhang Yi ignored the shouts below, waved the holy sword in his hand, and slashed out at the black barrier in front of him. That indestructible barrier shattered like glass. The light returned to the command center. At the same time, dark matter poured into the building like a tide of fire, burning violently. The building was shattered, and entire floors were covered in dark matter. This wave of dark matter attacks the location of the members of the Samsara team. Everyone was shocked, especially Gao Changkang, who had a look of astonishment in his eyes for the first time. Because he never imagined that after Zhang Yi experienced such a tragic battle, not only did he not die, he could actually arrive at the battlefield so fast. Aquarius seal. Gao Changkang immediately formed a seal, and summoned a treasure bottle, to resist the power of this move. Zhang Yi was floating quietly outside the building, overlooking the people inside. At this time, he was like a god. After devouring the origins of several captains and vice captains, his power has also been greatly improved. Now his space power is enough to support him to get rid of gravity. Gao Changkang, I'm here to take revenge on you. The holy seal in Zhang Yi's hand was filled with black void power, and pointed directly at Gao Changkang. With the appearance of Zhang Yi, the situation on the battlefield was instantly reversed. Zhu Zheng's heart was already in his throat, but now he felt more at ease. He thought to himself, fortunately, Zhang Yi arrived, otherwise if he had been a step too late, we would all have died here. Deng Shentang's mouth was bleeding, and he had to accept the fact that he was defeated by Gao Changkang. But Zhang Yi's appearance gave him some comfort. At least Zhu Zheng would not die because of his failure. Everyone is looking at Zhang Yi with awe, gratitude and various emotions. But one thing can be confirmed, Zhang Yi's prestige in the eyes of Blizzard City senior officials and ordinary soldiers has reached the highest level in history. Savior. This word came to everyone's mind. Therefore, it is better to come early than to come by chance. On the Samsara team's side, the situation has become a little unfavorable. Gao Changkang was seriously injured by Deng Shentang's desperate blow. If he faced Zhang Yi and Deng Shentang teaming up at the same time, his chances of winning might not be that great. However, Gao Changkang had his own way. Zen meditation seal, deduction. He once again used the ability of reincarnation deduction, trying to target Zhang Yi and see through the future of this battle. After a moment, the corners of his mouth raised, because in the future he saw, he was still the final winner. Chapter 771 Echoes of Time. Gao Changkang stood on the ruins holding the sun sword. Zhang Yi, Deng Shentong, you two come together. Why should Gao Changkang be afraid? The fearless lion seal was activated, and he aimed at Zhang Yi in the air and launched an attack. After the blow was struck, Gao Changkang took the opportunity to take action and turned to kill Zhu Zheng. As long as Zhu Zheng is killed, everything will be over. But the moment he took action, Zhang Yi's figure quickly changed and moved to another location. It was in front of Zhu Zheng. The Holy Inquisitor slashed out with one strike and collided fiercely with the Sun Sword. The dark flames collided with the golden Buddha's light, and half of the sky showed to completely different colors. Half of it is dark like a night devil falling from the sky, and half of it is golden like the 10,000 Buddhas Chaozang. Boom. The ceiling of the entire tall building was shattered, and the fragments flew into the air. The surrounding aliens, deputy captain level and below, could not withstand this powerful force, and were knocked away one after another, scattered throughout the command center. Suddenly, a shocking battle broke out below. Members of the Yan'an Guards, the City Defense Army, and the God Squad began to encircle and suppress the members of the Samsara Squad. Deng Shentang got up and attacked Gao Changkang from behind with his foil sword in hand. Lan Xincheng defended Zhu Zheng to the death. Gao Changkang's eyes were cold. Now he has no way out. He must kill Zhu Zheng before the matter can be settled. Even if he had to face two captain level aliens at the same time, he felt that he was still invincible. I have seen through your future. Wake up. Gao Changkang used reincarnation deduction to learn about the abilities and fighting methods of Deng Shentang and Zhang Yi. Deng Shentang is easy to solve, but Zhang Yi is the biggest trouble. So he activated the Cheyenne Wu Baolan and planned to break Zhang Yi's alien space first. As long as the power absorbed at one time exceeds the limit, the alien space will collapse. The Sun Sword was raised high, and a terrifying energy storm surged with Gao Changkang as the center. Zhang Yi, can you block my move? Gao Changkang asked sharply. The next moment, the Sun Sword was aimed at Zhang Yi and struck at him. The huge energy storm seemed to be able to destroy the world, pointing directly at his body and the entire building behind him. There is no doubt that the power of this terrible storm can instantly wipe out everything behind Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi subconsciously felt behind him. Zhu is there. If he avoids this move, Zhu Zheng and Lan Xincheng will definitely die. It didn't matter whether Lan Xincheng died or not, but he had spent so much effort to get back and absolutely couldn't let anything happen to Zhu Zheng. After all, if Blizzard City changes to a new commander, it may not be Zhu Zheng who is most beneficial to Zhang Yi. His eyes became serious, and a dark light surged in his left eye. Echoes of time. After absorbing the origin of Mayumi Takuchi, Zhang Yi awakened a new ability. This ability is very special. It will not directly improve his combat effectiveness, but will give him a sense of combat. It allows him to ensure his survival to the greatest extent during the battle. First, he can predict attacks against himself in advance and respond. Second, find the weakness of the opponent's attack and resolve it. After the time echo was activated, the vision in his left eye completely changed. It was a different world from the past. The Eye of the Storm in Gao Changkang's move was instantly locked by him, which was the core of Gao Changkang's power. Zhang Yi raised the Holy Judge in his hand and pointed it at the raging energy storm. The broken blade, the dark substance that condensed the power of the void, turned into a huge arrow, shot out from the tip of the Holy Inquisitor's knife, and collided hard with the Sun Sword. The black arrow shot into the Eye of the Storm, and a moment later, the raging storm suddenly expanded. Then it exploded like a balloon, and the energy annihilated each other. In the end, it only caused a storm that swept in all directions, but not a trace of energy affected the area behind Zhang Yi. With just one move, most of the entire command center building collapsed. Gao Changkang's pupils suddenly narrowed. This is impossible. Everything in front of him was completely different from the future he saw. According to the original deduction, Zhang Yi would either avoid it, or Zhu Zheng would die. Either use the different space to absorb his full strength, and then the different space will be destroyed. However, a third possibility appeared. What he didn't know was that Zhang Yi, who was opposite him, also had the ability to deduce. It's just that Gao Changkang's deduction is similar to the operation of a program, but there may be deviations. Zhang Yi's deduction ability is based on the rules of the time field, which means predicting the future. In the face of higher level abilities, his reincarnation deduction ability has lost its effect. Zhang Yi, why did you stop me? Gao Changkang looked at Zhang Yi and said calmly, I'm not your enemy. You, like me, are both low-born people. There is no need to sacrifice your life for such a person. As long as I kill ZHU Zheng, I can re-establish order in the Jiangnan region. You don't like to see these old guys as arrogant as before, right? Come and join me in changing this twisted world. Gao Changkang tried to persuade Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi only responded with a sneer. Shut up. Damn traitor. ZHU Shui is wise and powerful. Everything he does is for the future of the entire Jiangnan region. Because of your own selfish interests, you want to destroy the achievements that countless people have worked hard to build. You are the biggest sinner. Of course these words were spoken to someone present. When ZHU Zheng heard this, he was really moved. Zhang Yi is such a good guy. I misunderstood him in the past, but it turns out he has such an innocent heart. ZHU Zheng made up his mind that once this crisis is over, he must train Zhang Yi well. As for Deng Shentang, well, although he also had some merits in escorting, losing to Gao Changkang would inevitably lead to loss of points. Now, ZHU Zheng only has Zhang Yi, a good and loyal man in his eyes. Moreover, Zhang Yi looked at Gao Changkang with murderous intent flashing in his eyes. You set up a trap to kill me in Qianhe City. I have to avenge you. This sentence is truly sincere. Gao Changkang knew that he couldn't convince Zhang Yi anymore, so he stopped talking nonsense. Okay, let's see who can have the last laugh. The Xian Wu Baolan behind him was shining brightly, looking at ZHU Zheng with murderous intent in his eyes. Kill. He jumped towards Zhang Yi and Deng Shentang to kill them. Gao Changkang fought 1 against 2, not losing at all. But now, his biggest problem is not to win Zhang Yi and Deng Shentang, but to break through Zhang Yi's defense. Zhang Yi is not a stranger who is good at offense. Nowadays, he can use the power of the void more skillfully, but when it comes to close combat, his skills are still not as good as Gao Changkang's. However, Gao Changkang had nothing to do with him. Facing Zhang Yi who has the power of space, all his attacks will also be absorbed and bounced back. In other words, Gao Changkang and Zhang Yi are the protagonists of this battle. But Deng Shentang, who was seriously injured, became a soy sauce existence. This made him very unhappy, but there was nothing he could do about it. From an offensive and defensive perspective, both of them are one level better than him. Fortunately, with Zhang Yi here, it has become impossible for Gao Changkang to kill ZHU Zheng. Chapter 772, The Great Destruction of Jianluo, Ad 1. Zhang Yi's timely rescue failed Gao Changkang's goal of killing ZHU Zheng. Now the situation is getting worse and worse for him. He was unable to break through Zhang Yi's defense, especially with Time Echo. Zhang Yi could predict all his attack methods. Time Echo is the superior ability of the Zen Seal, which can suppress it in all directions. It directly sealed Gao Changkang's deduction ability, not to mention Zhang Yi's abnormal defense ability. At this time, the entire Blizzard City's combat power is gathering here. As long as it delays, the Samsara team will be defeated sooner or later. Gao Changkang took a deep breath and decided to give up the operation. We retreat. He shouted to all members of the reincarnation team through the communication system. When the team members heard these words, they couldn't help but feel a little sad. This time they failed, but they almost succeeded. They didn't know how many times they had rehearsed for this day, but God wills it. They had considered all the factors in Blizzard City, but they had not considered Zhang Yi, a stranger from outside the city. Although they felt a little regretful, they still rushed back together according to Gao Changkang's instructions. The alien who has always been called Martial Arts Field, but few people know his real name, opened a dimensional door. Gao Changkang took a deep look at ZHU Zheng, and then focused on Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi, you win this time today. I underestimated you. But next time, it won't be that simple. Zhang Yi didn't speak, but Deng Shentang came over with a sword and looked at the space door with sharp eyes. Unexpectedly, it leads to a certain direction outside the city. This is the escape route that the Samsara team has prepared for themselves. Do you think you can escape? Deng Shentang asked in a deep voice. Gao Changkang glanced at Deng Shentang with a bit of contempt in his eyes. It wasn't that he was deliberately humiliating him, but that he simply didn't take this defeated general seriously. Deng Shentong, you should thank Zhang Yi for saving your life. Otherwise, you would have been dead. Deng Shentong suddenly became excited, but he did not dare to act rashly, because he was indeed no match for Gao Changkang at this time. He could only turn his attention to Zhang Yi, hoping that Zhang Yi would help him stop the person in front of him. Zhang Yi was also unambiguous. He lowered his eyebrows and looked at his right hand. The holy judge was filled with dark flames. I'm also very good at the power of space. Guess you can escape with me here? Others may not be able to do it, but Zhang Yi can destroy their space channels. Gao Changkang frowned slightly. At this moment, two people suddenly appeared in the sky. Memorial to Yu Shen and Sun Luxun. The two people fought fiercely in Ji Yushen's solo field for a long time, but there was no winner. At this time, after receiving Gao Changkang's order, Ji Yushen released his ability. He figured out the current situation and walked to the front of the reincarnation team with one sword and one man. Captain, you take everyone and leave first. I'll take care of you. The faces of the team members showed unbearable expressions. Deputy team. Because being at the rear means that he needs to wait until the door to space is completely closed before the mission is over. When the time comes, staying alone in Blizzard City will definitely result in death. However, no one could say more, because from the very beginning, when they joined this plan, they all had the consciousness to sacrifice their lives. Everyone in the Tengu team climbed up from the bottom and was personally trained by Gao Changkang, and every one of them hates the injustice of Blizzard City. If it were anyone else today, they would sacrifice themselves without hesitation to give other teammates a chance to survive. Gao Changkang did not reject Yu Shen's offer. He put his hand on Ji Yushen's shoulder and said solemnly, "You will always be my brother. You must be my bravest brother." Ji Yushen took a deep breath. "Yes, Captain." He took out a number 5 compound from his pocket and stuffed it into his mouth without hesitation. Zhang Yi couldn't help but let out a long sigh. Again. You all like to take drugs, right? Although in the past he had always looked down upon this one-time drug that could harm himself. However, in a real life and death battle, seeing his opponent using drugs will still give him a numb feeling. Compound number 5 works very quickly. It can quickly burn out a person's potential and even lead to death if overused. However, at this time, Ji Yushen had already realized death, so he showed no reservations when using his power. Boom. Green flames soared into the sky and burned around him. With him as the center, the area within a kilometer radius instantly turned into a sea of green fire. Zhang Yi, Sun Luxun and Deng Shentong all hurriedly retreated, unwilling to let such unknown flames touch them. Then there were hundreds of soldiers around him who had no time to retreat and were directly overwhelmed by the flames. In the blink of an eye, green fire spurted out from their 7 orifices, and they were burned into skeletons while wailing. Miraculously, their clothes and weapons were not damaged at all, and only their flesh and internal organs were burned to ashes. Great destruction of Jian Luo. Ji Yushen slowly raised the huge green sword. His eyes completely turned green, and the whole body was filled with the terrifying green flames. When a captain level figure begins to risk his life, no one can help but shudder. Gao Changkang took his men and left one by one from the gate of space. But Zhang Yi and the others could no longer stop him. After all, no one could cross the path of sacrifice to the god of death. Yu Shen. Open. Kill. Go ahead. Ahahaha. Ji Yushen raised his head and laughed wildly. It was the last carnival of a man who was about to give up his life. When a person is not afraid of death, nothing in this world can restrain him. The flames all over the sky began to surge wildly, killing everyone around them indiscriminately. Zhang Yi sensed that something was wrong and silently retreated behind everyone. Ji Yushen will definitely die. There is no need for him to risk his life with a dead man. I'll protect ZHU Shui. You guys deal with this guy. Zhang Yi wanted to run away after saying that, but Mr. Sun Luxun grabbed his arm and said to him with a smile, "Everyone in the reincarnation team has run away. ZHU Shui is safe now. Young man, let's fight the enemy together." Zhang Yi's expression darkened, and he nodded helplessly in agreement. At this time, ZHU Zheng had already left the war zone under the protection of Lan Xincheng. After he escaped, he immediately took out his satellite phone and contacted the remote Shengjing district headquarters. "Hello, I'm ZHU Zheng from Jiangnan district. My execution code is Tiger. On the frontal battlefield, facing Ji Yushin, who was determined to die, Zhang Yi and the others did not dare to be careless at all. We must control him, otherwise, Blizzard City will be beaten into chaos by him." Sun Luxuan reminded the two of them. "I see." Deng Shentang directly opened the Great Sumeru environment and used illusions to influence Ji Yushin. Chapter 773 Guillotine in Hell, Add 2. In order to avoid being affected by the illusion, Ji Yushin had to close his eyes. But after all, unlike Gao Changkang, he did not have such strong five senses, so his combat effectiveness and sense of direction were greatly affected. Zhang Yi and Sun Luxuan attacked him from three directions. This battle was not easy. The flames of war flattened the land within several miles of the entire combat command center. In the end, Yu Shen's death was because he overdrawn his own essence with compound number 5 and died of exhaustion. This is a captain level monster with powerful attack power and extremely difficult to kill. No wonder so many people didn't believe Deng Shentang faked his death. Zhang Yi looked at Yu Shen's body and breathed a long sigh of relief. "It's a pity that Gao Changkang and the others escaped." Zhang Yi sighed. "They can't escape." Deng Shentang gritted his teeth. "Even if they escape from Blizzard City, they will be listed as S-class wanted criminals and be hunted by the entire Huaxu kingdom. They must die." Zhang Yi said, "But with Gao Changkang's strength, it is very difficult to kill him. Gao Changkang's ability is very abnormal, although his deduction ability is far behind that of predicting the future. However, he can use this power many times in battle and improve his strength faster than ordinary people. Especially when a certain person is selected as a target, targeted training can be carried out. Coupled with the 6 powerful seals of Cheyenne Wu Baolan, the power he possesses is quite terrifying even among captains." Zhang Yi pondered. Deng Shentang's supernatural power index is only 9200, so Gao Changkang must be at least about 9600. He should be the alien closest to the Epsilon level currently. At this point, he added, "Except me." While the three of them were chatting, ZHU Zheng's voice came from not far away. "Don't worry, he can't escape." Zhang Yi looked over. Although ZHU Zheng looked a little tired, he was not injured due to the good protection of everyone. He was only accidentally rubbed when he retreated, and his arm was bandaged. Zhang Yi couldn't help asking, "Do you still have any backup plans?" ZHU Zheng smiled and said, "Of course." He raised his head and looked up into the sky. "He will surely die." Zhang Yi didn't know where ZHU Zheng got his confidence. If he hadn't arrived in time, ZHU Zheng would have been killed by Gao Changkang. Now he comes out looking confident. But at this moment, Zhang Yi suddenly heard the sound of chains being dragged. He and Deng Shentang could not help but follow the sound. Suddenly, a mist filled the air, and the sound of the chains getting closer and closer. From the mist, 2 iron chains emerged, one pitch black and the other pure white. They gradually changed from form to formlessness and quickly spread towards the front. There is an aura of death spreading around the chains. It's eerie, terrifying, and makes people feel fear from the depths of their souls. Zhang Yi's inner warning sounded loudly. He quickly teleported hundreds of meters away, far away from the 2 chains. Deng Shentang and Sun Luxuan also adopted the same approach. After a moment, they saw the direction pointed by the 2 chains. A bewildered Major Yan Yunwei. Before he knew what was happening, his body was tightly bound by 2 chains. What is this?" He screamed in fright and struggled desperately. But no matter how hard he exerted his power and used his powers, he couldn't damage the chain in the slightest. ZHU Zheng, who was originally full of confidence, immediately changed his expression when he saw this scene. "How so?" The chains on Major Yan Yunwei's body became tighter and tighter. At this time, Zhang Yi saw a scene that made the hair on his body stand on end. From the mist, 2 tall figures slowly floated out. They are both over 2 feet tall. One is wearing a black robe, the other is wearing a white robe, and they both have tall pointed hats on their heads. The black hat says "Catching You," and the white hat says "You are here too." Black and white impermanence. Zhang Yi couldn't help but whispered. Almost no one in Huaxu Kingdom does not understand the images of these 2 ghosts and gods. The two ghosts and gods were filled with ghostly energy, their feet were hollow, and they were floating towards a Yan Yunwei who was bound by chains. In the entire ruins, everyone was too scared to move. Even Zhang Yi and the other three subconsciously kept silent. Because from those two ghosts and gods, they felt the extremely terrifying power of rules, far above the captain level. Major Yan Yun was extremely frightened, and the Yan Yun guards around him were also trying to help him out of trouble. But no matter what they did, shooting with guns, or attacking with supernatural powers, the chain never moved. In a moment, two ghost servants had come to him, holding the soul-locking chain in their palms. The two ghosts and gods dragged Major Yan Yun's body forward without even looking at the others. In front of them, a huge high platform suddenly appeared slowly. Like a huge door, it reaches straight into the sky, towering into the clouds without knowing how many miles it is. The two ghosts tied Major Yan Yun's body to the high platform. The appearance of the door gradually emerged, but when everyone saw it clearly, their necks were also frightened that their necks went cold. Because that's not a heavenly gate, but a huge guillotine. Thousands of feet high in the sky, a dark and sharp knife hung high above the clouds. The edge of the knife was tilted. With one strike, humans and animals would be split into two pieces. Major Yan Yun was so frightened that he lost his soul and screamed at the top of his lungs, but his body was tightly locked by the soul lock chain and he could not break free at all. Boom. The guillotine fell from the sky, and a moment later it crashed down, cutting from his heavenly spirit cap to the soles of his feet. Major Yan Yun's body was neatly divided into two. If you looked at him from the front, you would even think that nothing happened to him. But after the knife edge fell, all the visions disappeared soon. The ghost mission and the guillotine turned into smoke and dispersed. But Major Yan Yun's body split into two parts, front and back, and he fell down. This horrific death situation made everyone take a breath of air. Because from the beginning to the end, no one saw anyone take action against the Major. It's like being cursed. Zhu Zheng's body was shaking, not because of fear, but because of anger. Gao Changkong, you have tricked me again. Zhang Yi had an idea, and he was keenly aware that this matter was unusual. Zhu Shui, what's going on? Who wants to attack our people? Zhu Zheng took a deep look at Zhang Yi. He was silent for a long time, and then said slowly, I asked the person from the Shengjing district to help me kill the traitor Gao Changkong. This is his ability, Hell's Guillotine. Anyone targeted by him will definitely be killed. This is a mortal rule. At this point, he gritted his teeth and said, damn Gao Changkong, he must have predicted all this. He actually escaped. Chapter 774 The Media. This incident deeply touched Zhang Yi. According to rumors, the Epsilon level stranger in Shengjing has the ability to chase people thousands of miles away. But it was the first time he had seen it with his own eyes. However, what he didn't expect was that the ability of Hell's Guillotine would be such a big mistake when he saw it for the first time. He was shocked by the horror of the guillotine in hell, because the power of the rules made him feel deeply afraid. Zhang Yi thought in his mind, if he was locked by this kind of power, would it be possible to escape? However, from a practical point of view, Zhu Zheng originally planned to use the guillotine in hell to kill Gao Changkong, but was diverted by Gao Changkong using some means. In other words, in order to achieve the sure kill of Hell's Guillotine, certain conditions must be met. Zhang Yi felt a little more vigilant in his heart. It seems that he must treat all requests made by Blizzard City carefully, especially not giving his personal belongings to the other party. Maybe in the future, that will become Blizzard City's weapon against him. Zhu Zheng was angry and regretful, but at the same time he was glad that he had survived unharmed. He looked at Zhang Yi, his eyes full of gratitude and appreciation. Zhang Yi, thanks to you this time. If you hadn't arrived at the critical moment, something would have happened to us all. Sun Luxun and Deng Shentong looked at Zhang Yi, their eyes also filled with gratitude. Even as proud as Deng Shentong, he was not angry, because Zhang Yi stole the limelight. After all, Zhang Yi is their savior. Zhang Yi smiled secretly in his heart, and said humbly on his face, I just did what a citizen of Jiangnan region should do. Zhu Zheng was very satisfied with Zhang Yi's attitude. He had already thought of 100 ways to promote Zhang Yi. But right now, they have other things to deal with. After the battle, the heads of various units and departments in Blizzard City rushed over and expressed their loyalty to ZHU Zhang. ZHU Shui, are you okay? Great. The moment I heard about the rebellion in the command center, I was so anxious. I was just afraid that something unexpected would happen to you. Woohoo, ZHU Shui, I'm so worried about you. This group of people had no effect when they first started fighting, but now they still have a way of coming over to cry for father and mother. After all, everyone is not stupid at heart. There is a traitor in Blizzard City, and ZHU Zhang will definitely not give up. He must actively distance himself from the Samsara team at this time in order to protect himself. ZHU Zhang squinted his eyes and glanced at everyone present. These high-level officials from Blizzard City are here, but some of them must be colluding with the Samsara team. Otherwise, it would be impossible for the few people in the Samsara team to bypass everyone and carry out this operation. From ZHU Zhang's cold eyes, Zhang Yi seemed to see that a great purge was about to begin. But what does that have to do with Zhang Yi? ZHU Zhang turned around, smiled and praised Zhang Yi vigorously, and then asked him to take a good rest first. Of course, ZHU Zhang did not hesitate to praise Sun Luxuan and Deng Shentang, who tried their best to protect him. You go back first, and I will immediately arrange for personnel from the medical department to treat you, ZHU Zhang said. Zhang Yi looked at his body and saw that he had not suffered any injuries in this battle. So he said, I don't have to waste medical resources. I'm not injured. ZHU Zhang nodded and left surrounded by Lan Xincheng and others. Sun Luxuan smiled and said to Zhang Yi, young man, you are very good. Then he followed ZHU Zhang and left. At this time, the rebellion had just been suppressed, but the city was not stable, and he needed to protect ZHU Zhang's safety at all times. People from the medical department soon came to treat the injured at the scene. When the Samsara team made such a fuss, many soldiers who came to the scene to support them were killed or seriously injured. Deng Shentang's mouth is still bleeding because of the use of compound number 5. But he seemed to be fine and could still come over to chat with Zhang Yi. I didn't expect you to hide so deeply. I thought you would be killed by Gao Changkang. Zhang Yi glanced at him and said calmly, I didn't expect you to be still alive. Deng Shentang smiled calmly. I live for those who didn't survive. During the execution of that mission, I already realized something was wrong. There must be a traitor in Blizzard City. It's just that the person I suspected the most was the person who was in the city at that time, and I didn't expect it to be Gao Changkang. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows. At that time, Gao Changkang was still on a mission at Beating Lake. Logically speaking, they were unable to obtain specific information about the battlefield, let alone communicate with the Samsara team in a timely manner. So, in Blizzard City, they actually have accomplices. Zhang Yi took a deep breath. He could already see that a major purge was coming. This is the price of a failed rebellion. A large number of people will die. Deng Shentang, how did you escape from Jiangning City? Zhang Yi suddenly asked curiously. Deng Shentang smiled mysteriously. Well, it's actually nothing special. He narrowed his eyes and said lightly, it's just a blind trick. He didn't explain in detail, but Zhang Yi had already roughly guessed his method. Deng Shentang's ability, the Sumeru illusion, can use light to control people's vision, thereby affecting the 5 senses. It was not difficult to create an illusion of his death for Phoenix Yanren, who was on the battlefield at that time, or even for the command center in front of the camera. However, Zhang Yi still had a question that he was very concerned about. He approached Deng Shentang, who was taking out a box of medicine from his body and stuffing it into his mouth. It should be some kind of healing medicine. How much do you know about the abilities of Ypsilon in Shenjing? Zhang Yi inquired about that person's abilities. He was a very steady man, and he was wary of anything that might kill him. Deng Shentang looked at him strangely. How do I know? Do you think people will let you know such an important thing easily? Zhang Yi, don't you think it's scary? If you were the one locked in black and white just now, do you think you can escape? Deng Shentang couldn't help but shudder when he thought of the scene just now. Don't think so much. As long as you are honest and don't imitate that Gao Changkang, this matter will not fall on you. Zhang Yi was very dissatisfied when he heard Deng Shentang's answer. It seems that you, the Deng family, don't know either. Deng Shentang suddenly became unhappy. Zhang Yi immediately stared. What are you looking at? I saved your life just now. Is this your attitude towards your savior? Deng Shentang was speechless for a moment, but when he thought about it carefully, Zhang Yi really saved his life. He held it in for a long time and said slowly, anyway, I guess it should be something similar to a head-dropping spell or a curse. It must need something as a medium. Therefore, be careful about the things around you. Chapter 775. After Deng Shentang said this, someone from the medical team came over immediately. The Deng family has its own medical staff who came over to check Deng Shentang's body. The people from the medical department came here, probably under ZHU Zheng's orders, so there were particularly many medical staff on Zhang Yi's side. Captain Chaos, are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere? A doctor asked Zhang Yi very seriously. Several young and beautiful nurses around him looked at Zhang Yi with admiration and adoration in their eyes. They already know everything that just happened here. At this time, Zhang Yi became the hero of the entire Blizzard City. Zhang Yi waved his hand. I'm fine, and I'm not injured. You go treat other injured patients. The doctor said with a serious face. I think you'd better do a comprehensive examination, because sometimes people have hidden injuries on their bodies during battles. If not treated in time, it may endanger life. What the doctor said makes sense. Some hidden injuries may not be visible on the surface, but may actually be internal problems. If you don't notice it, you may be hopeless after a while. But Zhang Yi suddenly became wary when he recalled what Deng Shentang said when he left. Comprehensive inspection? Wouldn't it be necessary to draw blood for testing, or take something else from one's body? Zhang Yi cautiously took a few steps back. No need, I have my own personal doctor. Before the doctor could speak, he turned around and left the scene. When he left, he seemed to see a look of regret in the doctor's eyes. Zhang Yi returned to his villa in Area A at this time. The entire city is under martial law, and the members of the Samsara team are being searched for traces and people related to them are being purged. Zhang Yi was not interested in these, but throughout the whole day, Blizzard City could hear the sound of sirens whistling past. At this time, Zhang Yi had no way to leave, and all external communication signals were blocked. He was unable to contact the outside world, so he lay on the bed to rest. Later, Tu Yunli led the team back. After resting, the Tengu team also returned to Blizzard City. After they came back, they immediately joined the operation to eliminate the rebels non-stop. After all, some people have private soldiers on hand, and they must use force when suppressing them. After some investigation, it was quickly discovered who had colluded with the Samsara team. Blizzard City is so big, and the population of 200 million is divided into strict levels. It is not difficult to find out what kind of people will come into contact with the Samsara team. Bailey Changqing also returned to Blizzard City. He absorbed the original power of Dagon Yanjin and saved his life, preventing him from suffering the same fate as Bian Junwu. After Bailey Changqing came back, he immediately came to the home of his old squad leader Wu Zhengheng. When the rebellion started, he was the one who disarmed the alert system of the command center for the Samsara team. Wu Zhengheng was at home, giving medicine to his son in the hospital bed, while his wife chatted next to him with a worried look on his face. There's such a big thing happening in the city. It won't affect our family, right? Old Wu, why don't you go back quickly, to avoid the boss blaming you later? Wu Zhengheng did not respond to his wife's nagging. He just smiled and looked at his son on the bed, feeding him milk powder one bite at a time. His son had congenital heart disease, which caused complications after the end of the world. He has been paralyzed in bed for more than half a year. Even when eating, I can only eat liquid food. Bailey Changqing came here by himself. He didn't bring anyone with him. He just wanted to give this former old comrade and old squad leader some final dignity. Bailey Changqing opened the door and walked in with a livid face. When Wu Zhengheng's wife saw this, she was so frightened that she quickly stood up and didn't know what to say. Wu Zhengheng said calmly, "He came to see me." He walked up to Bailey Changqing with a smile and said with pleading eyes, "Can I tell you a few words before I go with you?" Bailey Changqing nodded stiffly. Wu Zhengheng explained to his wife in front of him. At this time, his wife realized that something was wrong and soon started crying. Bailey Changqing was indifferent to this. There was only anger in his heart. After Wu Zhengheng explained all this, he and Bailey Changqing walked out. Why? Bailey Changqing stared at him. Why do you want to be a traitor? Answer me. Wu Zhengheng raised his head and looked at the big man in front of him and sighed. You are still young and can still have dreams. But if you are my age and your wife and children need money, you will understand me. I have worked my whole life for the people above me, but in the end, I can't even support my wife and children. Tell me, do I still have a reason to work for them? Faced with Wu Zhengheng's questioning, Bailey Changqing suddenly didn't know what to say. If it were before the end of the world, with Wu Zhengheng's original ability, let alone supporting him, he would definitely be able to provide his wife and children with good living conditions. But now is the end. Human life is like a piece of grass, and just wanting to stay alive is a huge luxury in itself. Even though he is evergreen, he still has to work hard to have a 3-bedroom apartment in District A. When Wu Zhengheng saw this, he sighed and stretched out his hands. Winning or losing, I have nothing to say. I just hope that after the two of them die, their bodies can be buried with me. There are no wild dogs outside now, so you don't have to worry about being eaten if you bury it in the snow, right? He suddenly laughed playfully. Veins bulged on Bailey Changqing's face. Click. He put handcuffs on Wu Zhengheng and said in a firm but slow tone, don't worry, I will take good care of them after you leave. In Wu Zhengheng's eyes, a flash of light emerged from the grey of despair. Bailey, you. He didn't cry when he was arrested, but now he is choked with sobs. Is what you said true? Bailey Changqing nodded. You know, I never lie. Wu Zhengheng cried and smiled. Okay, thank you. As long as his wife and children can live well, then he has no worries about death. The same situation is happening throughout Blizzard City. The rebellion of the Samsara team involved so many people and so wide a scope that it was jaw-dropping. After Zhu Zheng saw the report, he couldn't help but sigh that Gao Chang'an's layout was too deep. He spent such a long time trying to gain fame and reputation, and then connected many forces in Blizzard City, just for today's action. Lan Xincheng snorted coldly and said with cold eyes, these people actually intend to rebel. Their crime is unpardonable. Zhu Shui, kill them all. Zhu Zheng looked at him deeply. Kill them? Many of them are important technical personnel, and most of them are not guilty of death. At most, they are just accomplices. If we kill them all, it will be a huge loss to Blizzard City. How many people do we have? Lan Xincheng said, but if you are unfaithful once, you will never be used for life. Keeping them is also a hidden danger. Zhu Zheng thought for a long time and sighed. People are monsters loyal to their own desires. They cannot be entirely blamed for this incident. It is the world that is wrong. Even if we clean them up and replace them with others, won't a similar situation happen? In the end, Zhu Zheng decided to handle the incident flexibly, except for some people who were involved in colluding with Eclipse to trap members of the Tengu team and were executed. Most of the others received relatively light punishments. But this time, the organizational structure of the core department units has undergone another reshuffle. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.